This is Coach Lee, and you're listening to the Dore Report.
Welcome back into the Dore Report, and welcome into episode 380 on a hot, I'm just going to put it, hot. It's August in Tennessee, but it's still hot. Monday evening, August 17th, 2026. I am Will Byram, joined as always by my co-host, Trevor Hewlin, a.k.a. Hack Squad, Jim Duggan. We're going to have a little bit of a longer intro here because here at the Dore Report, we are now proud to announce we are presented by Donnelly Timmons and Associates. If you're reading right now or watching on YouTube, in the top, is it going to be left or right?
It'll be...
I'm pointing at it right now.
Right. I don't think it changes.
Okay, I can't remember if it's mirrored, but I'm pointing at it. The Donnelly Timmons and Associates logo. Donnelly Timmons, Nashville's premier custom home builder. Vandy fans and alums in Nashville. When it's time to build your dream home or tear down and start fresh, you need a builder who actually listens and delivers. That's Donnelly Timmons and Associates. Nashville natives Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have 25 plus years of building experience in Franklin, Brentwood, Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, and more. An in-house team on the job site every day, clear communication, rock solid quality and integrity. Ready to talk more about your next home? You can schedule a free consultation or check out their custom work at DonnellyTimmons.com, or you can call them at 615-456-7983. Again, that is DonnellyTimmons.com, DONNELLY, Timmons, TIMMONS.com, or you can call that number at 615-456-7983. Just want to take a moment and really thank Donnelly Timmons and Associates for coming on board as the flagship sponsor of TDR. You will see Donnelly Timmons in our bio across all social medias. You will see them promoted across every thumbnail that's associated with the Dore Report flagship podcast. Just a huge thank you to Donnelly Timmons, a big part of why TDR can continue to do what TDR is doing and bring coverage to Vanderbilt fans. So check them out again at DonnellyTimmons.com. Really, really excited to have them on board. And also at the first tailgate, just a little teaser, there will be some giveaways associated with this as well. So make sure to show up to Lot 2 week 1 on September 5th against Austin Peay. Thank you again to Donnelly Timmons and Associates.
I was going to say for the giveaway, they're going to give away free homes, but I don't want to do our sponsors that on their first episode. So Donnelly and Timmons, I won't do that to you guys.
Just immediately false advertisement.
But no, in my mind, I was like, what if I say, ooh, the giveaway is free homes in Nashville?
It's a little less valuable than free homes, but still, I think it's going to be an awesome giveaway. I'm hoping they'll actually be in time for week 1, but the worst case is, I think, by week 2. But I think they will be in time in week 1. And Phoebe has already tried to bite me 2 to 3 times to start this episode. She is pumped up.
She's getting put in air jail.
Pumped up about Donnelly Timmons coming on board. I can tell. That's all she's been talking about all day. But now on episode 380, we have a locked and loaded episode. It is late. It's again TDR After Dark, almost 9 p.m. But we have the Vanderbilt 2026 offensive roster preview to go over, and that will also incorporate some fall camp storylines while we're running through that. Then we will head to the TDR cocktail break, and then we're going to answer as many premium message board questions as we can. This is the final week that I will not be reading them ahead of time and organizing them. I don't know what system I'm going to implement, whether it's just going to be quality of question or if it's going to be associated with like what level you are on the message board, like Hall of Fame or Heisman, All-American, All-Conference, that level of how consistently you have posted. I'll figure that out. But we're getting too many responses, which is awesome. Love all the new subscribers that we have gotten, because right now you can sign up for the DoreReport.com and get 75% off your first year of annual membership. $29.99 for an entire 12 months of the DoreReport.com, plus on 3 national writers, plus Rivals. So all the insider recruiting information. That runs until further notice, but that's going to end soon. It's a fall camp sale. Fall camp for Vanderbilt closes out on the 22nd of August. So I don't know when it's going to end, but it's going to be soon. It's been extended because there's been so many people signing up on the sale. And you can see that on the message board, which is why I'm working in the ad a little bit right now, because it leads into, we're getting a lot more questions.
Yeah.
So we used to read every single question, no matter what, basically. That might have to shift.
Yeah. I'll say this. It might be a good idea if we'll answer as many questions as we can on the pod. If we do not get to you on the pod, then we'll just go back and answer you on the board. So we don't want to go any questions unanswered here on TDR.
Tomorrow evening, if nothing is answered, because also there were some questions that were asked on the day 10 fall camp notes that were really good that I haven't had a chance to get to. So I'll go back and answer those as well. I will set off a block of time tomorrow evening to go through those questions, anything that we miss on this episode. But it's been awesome seeing all the new usernames.
Dude,
pop up
so
on there.
great. We have so many new, just on the Q&A alone, like so many new folks being like, hey, first time, and that's awesome. And like, we really, really appreciate that.
All that, new subscribers, still the 75% off sale going on at thedoreport.com. So check that out if you're interested at all. Donnelly Timmons and Associates on board as the presenting sponsor of TDR, and a lot more exciting sponsors as well that I will get to later in the episode that are helping TDR keep this thing going and keep the TDR train on tracks. And it's an awesome train that's going on right now on the TDR track. Some could say off the rails.
Is this the most juice TDR's ever had?
I think without a doubt.
I don't think it's a question.
And we'll see if that juice continues as people hear our evaluations of the Vanderbilt offense. There was a lot of positivity on the Vanderbilt defense front. And I do want to say that there was a scrimmage on Saturday. Me and Trevor are going to work in our takes from that scrimmage in the message board questions, as well as throughout our offensive preview. So don't worry, there's going to be some fall camp intel as well. But Trevor, before we get into segment 1 in the offensive preview, we always have to start it with a Trevor Hewlin hack squat vibe check. So where are we sitting?
I've been at a 10 out of 10 for so long now, and nothing has happened to knock that down. In fact, the closer we get to football season, the more my excitement and the more my admiration and anticipation for Vanderbilt football increases. I'm going to stay at a 10 out of 10. I'm going to stay at a 10 out of 10. I've seen, now don't get me wrong, and we'll get into it. There are things in fall camp that I'm like, I don't like that. There are some things in fall camp that I've seen that were like, I do like that. I have, and that's also another thing is like, you can't fully trust. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Like, I don't think you can fully trust what you're seeing in fall camp. It's not like, I saw this in fall camp. This is going to happen this season. That's not at all how fall camp works. I will say, I haven't seen anything that raises like an insane amount of concern for me going into the season. Would you?
We'll get into that.
There's concern, but not like I'm like, oh shoot, this is gonna be bad.
I raised a little bit of that during the defensive preview of the secondary, and still I'm sold on them being better, but not sold on them being good. There's a difference in being better, which is being inside the top 120 in opponent completion percentage and pass yards per game. They're going to be better than that.
Yeah,
that's my prediction. But can they be good? That's where I have some concerns, because good is a whole different category.
What's your definition of good? Like top 50?
I'd say top 50.
Okay.
In those statistical categories, yeah.
I don't know if they can be top 50. I think they can be improved though.
Exactly.
If they're in that 90 to 65 range,
it's decent. Serviceable. If they're more towards the 90, then
yeah.
But if they're closer to 60, and it's also some nuance and context. Like last year has a nuance and context of why I always use the statistic of opponent completion percentage versus yardage per game is because teams threw a lot against Vanderbilt. Some of that had to do, and a lot of that had to do with Vanderbilt's secondary not being good. But a lot of that had to do with a unique position for Vanderbilt fans to be evaluating a season. Vanderbilt was up a lot early in games and up a lot throughout games and forced teams to throw the ball. So, yeah, of course, opponents threw for yardage against Vanderbilt, but that opponent completion percentage, that's something that should be lower. Then Vanderbilt sitting, I think, 124th or something like that in the country in opponent completion percentage. So that's what I want to see get better, forcing incompletions. But you didn't give a vibe score there.
I did. I said 10 out of 10.
Oh, you stuck with 10 out of 10.
Oh, yeah, I'm sticking.
Okay.
I haven't seen anything to sway me from the 10 out of 10.
Okay, I didn't know if you were changing it. Okay, so Trevor's sticking at a 10 out of 10. And we're going to find out if that stays true throughout the offensive preview. I might have to check in with you again at the end of this episode. But before we get into all that and much more, I already teased it a little bit, but we are a part of the On3 Publisher Network. You can visit thedoreport.com today and subscribe to a monthly or annual premium membership and support TDR for access to premium content, as well as our premium message board behind closed doors. That gets you access to all of the fall camp intel, questions to me and Trevor, as well as Alex or Colin, whoever is at fall camp. We directly respond to all questions on the message board about what we've seen, what we're allowed to talk about. And right now it's 75% off. That is as cheap as you're going to get it. I already went on the rant about it being cheaper than a snack wrap from McDonald's. It's less than $2.50 a month. So now is the time to subscribe. Probably will be through the end of fall camp, but I wouldn't wait. Subscribe now at thedoreport.com. Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Dore Report. Also on TikTok, I believe it's just at Dore Report. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our podcast is available on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and Google Podcasts. And while you're at it, give our podcast 5 stars and a review on iTunes or Spotify. It's now time for segment 1. Welcome back into the Dore Report, and welcome back into episode 380. We're just going to jump right into it because we have a ton to get to on episode 380. And to start out, we have some football news that is not related to just the offensive preview, but a transfer commitment. But before we get to that, got to read off our presenting sponsor of football coverage, which is Berlowitz Wealth Management. Shout out to Joe Berlowitz. Also want to plug right here, Star V Sundays.
Yes.
First episode streamed yesterday, available across all platforms today. Star V Sundays, the brand new podcast, is part of the TDR network, hosted by Billy Derrick and former Vanderbilt kicker Joe Berlowitz, presented by Berlowitz Wealth Management. Every single Sunday, live on YouTube and X/Twitter. Next episode and the episodes moving forward, we had an issue with X/Twitter on the first episode, but we'll get that figured out. The first live TDR produced podcast officially scheduled for each Sunday. It's going to be a good time. Very different perspective and different vibe than this flagship podcast and everybody's used to, but I think that's going to be awesome. You have the dichotomy of takes, and then they're going to join. Billy will join an episode throughout the season. We'll join Star V Sundays at some point. Just a lot of back and forth, but a huge shout out to Joe Berlowitz and Berlowitz Wealth Management. Your wealth, your legacy, your partner. Financial success creates opportunity, but it can also bring complexity. At Berlowitz Wealth Management of Raymond James, we provide personalized private wealth guidance tailored to your goals, values, and long-term vision. Whether you're planning for retirement, building generational wealth, or navigating important financial decisions, we're here to help you move forward with clarity and confidence. Partner with a team committed to helping you grow and preserve what matters most. Berlowitz Wealth Management of Raymond James. Comprehensive wealth management for today, tomorrow, and generations to come. You can contact them via phone at 615-645-6742, or you can reach out via email at joe.bulovas@raymondjames.com. That's joe.bulovas, BULOVAS, @raymondjames.com. Located at 1033 Demumbrian Street, Suite 500, Nashville, Tennessee, 37203. Raymond James & Associates, Inc., member of New York Stock Exchange /SIPC. Thank you to Berlowitz Wealth Management. Now it's time to get into football. Transfer news. Khalil Petit. He is anything but petite. I believe 6'5", 260 pounds. Defensive lineman from Temple. Transferred into Vanderbilt. Committed today. It's kind of crazy we're talking about this, but one of those that's benefited from the new NCAA, what is it even called?
A 5 for 5.
Yeah, we got
5 in 5.
Yeah, the class of 2022. George wanted me to call him before this episode. I didn't have time before we started recording. I'm going to call him tomorrow and get the inside scoop on what's going on.
Yeah,
I should have called him before. But basically, he's eligible now, and Vanderbilt has spots, and they're bringing in depth on the defensive line. That's the summary of this. There's no secret message being sent by this acquisition.
Yeah.
But last season at Temple, Petit, I believe that's how it's pronounced. We will find out.
I believe
soon.
so.
Khalil. I'm very confident in Khalil. Last year, 29 total tackles, 1 sack, including a game I think he had 9 tackles at some point in the season. But interior line depth, you cannot have enough depth on the defensive line in general.
Agreed.
So I think it's a great pickup, especially with Vanderbilt's history of health on that defensive line in general.
Yeah, so, I'm right there with you. I have nothing else to add about that.
Yeah, nothing but upside. It's truly one of those things that there's no downside. And also there's a part of this that defensive line, I know there's complexity to it, don't get me wrong. But of all the positions on the field, defensive line is likely the easiest one to just plug and play.
I agree.
Outside of kicker and punter, maybe. Yeah. But plug and play, you can plug and play a defensive lineman.
It's like, hey, here are the stunts. Other than that, just
get after it.
Hit the A gap. Yeah.
A lot more transferable.
Yeah.
I think is the easiest way to say. Instead of learning an entire offensive playbook as a receiver or even as a linebacker, having to learn all the calls and directing everyone. It's just a little simpler. It's not simple, but it's much simpler. That's it on that. Now I want to get to the offensive preview.
Yes.
I know that's big news, and it's, crazy we're having transfer commitment news at this time, 10 days into fall camp, but I'm not meaning to glaze over that, but we have a lot to get to on this episode, and it is time to get to the offensive preview, Trevor.
I think the one everybody's been waiting for the most.
Yeah.
Particularly the tight end position.
Yeah, obviously. Or maybe running backs. Last week we went over defense on episode 379. There was one giant omission that I realized about 20 minutes after we recorded. We mentioned all the departures except one really big departure, Randon Fontenette.
Did we forget to mention him?
We forgot to mention Randon Fontenette. Huge departure from the defense. I did not mean to just omit that.
I will always love you, Randon.
Yeah, that one of the best plays of Vanderbilt history, the pick 6 early in that game against number 1 Alabama. Randon is a big loss. I mean, he is. So that's something that we didn't mean to omit and pretend like, oh, it just doesn't matter. He's now at Colorado. That is a big loss. But
maybe the biggest loss on the defensive side.
But I think Vanderbilt did a great job making up for that via the transfer portal, and the redesign of the defense also discounts that a little bit, getting rid of that star position. So there was some of that can be attributed to the changing of the defensive scheme and name of position slightly. But yeah, that's a big loss in the defense. I just wanted to hit on. And we're not immune to that happening again on the offense, but I think we're going to hit on everybody that was a departure on the offense. So let's get started. I thought about doing a joke and making people listen through and doing this position last, but I'm not going to do that.
Maximize those listener numbers.
We're going to talk about quarterback off the rip because that's what everybody's talking about nationally. The quarterback battle between Blaise Berlowitz and Jared Curtis. Clark Lee omitted Whit Muschamp from that conversation after the scrimmage. Officially, no. It was a 4-man quarterback battle, and then it was 3. And then after the scrimmage, Clark Lee officially said they were focusing on Whit Muschamp and Jared Curtis. So that's official. So that's
they're focusing on who?
Jared Curtis and Whit Muschamp, obviously. Jared Curtis and Blaise Berlowitz. I realized
justice for my guy Whit Muschamp.
I want to shout him out early because honestly, Whit Muschamp had a really good camp.
A really good camp.
I really do see Whit Muschamp transferring and being a successful quarterback at either a non-Power 4 school or a high-level FCS program. I do see that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's not a part of this quarterback battle, and we're not going to talk much more about Whit Muschamp because the battle is between, as I did not correctly state, Jared Curtis and Blaise Berlowitz. Trevor, I'm going to swing it to you early because all the conversation nationally is about this. Everything, I know I'm repeating myself, but everything about Vanderbilt football is about this competition. And we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the other parts of this offense, but we got to start out with this storyline.
Yeah.
So I'll swing it to Hack Squad and Trevor Hewlin for his evaluation.
Yeah. So before I give my official statement, we'll go back to spring. We said this on the pod. I believe we said this on Twitter. I know for certain we said this on the board. During the spring, we thought Blaise Berlowitz had a better spring. That wasn't a question. We said that if they had a football game in April, Blaise Berlowitz was going to be their starter in April. But we all know that college football is not played in the month of April. Of course, we did see flashes from Jared Curtis. We saw what scouts saw. We saw the arm talent. We saw the mobility. We saw what made him a 5-star plus quarterback. You go through summer. Now we're in fall camp. Has there been days to where Blaise Berlowitz has gotten the better of Jared Curtis? Yes, there has been. And we've not only said that on the pod, we've said that on the board as well after each practice. We're like, hey, like Blaze Berlowitz got the better of Jared Curtis. Jared Curtis had a rough day. Are there other days to where Jared Curtis has gotten the better of Blaze Berlowitz? Yes, absolutely. Particularly, and I think most importantly, this scrimmage that we just saw this past Saturday. Make no bones about it. Jared Curtis was, I'm going to say it, head and shoulders above Blaze Berlowitz this past Saturday. I personally do not think it was close. So now you have a two-way, quote unquote, two-way quarterback competition between Jared Curtis and Blaze Berlowitz. I will say, man, shout out to Blaze Berlowitz. I think the progression that we have seen from last fall camp to this fall camp, Blaze Berlowitz has made hell of strides. Like Blaze Berlowitz looks like a serviceable quarterback that could win you some games. I'm very, very impressed with his progression, not just as a football player, but particularly as a quarterback, running a pretty complex offense. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm going to give my official prediction. Jared Curtis will be your starter game 1 versus Austin Peay for the Vanderbilt Commodores, based on a couple of factors. First off, what I've seen with my own eyes. Second off, what I've heard from people. I'm very, very confident that Jared Curtis will be your starting quarterback for the Vanderbilt Commodores versus the Austin Peay Governors. I just want to go ahead and say that. That is my official prediction. This is not I think like this is like, I believe Jared Curtis will be your starter game 1. So I just want to go ahead and I want to put that on the record before we get into the nitty gritty of it all.
I wanted to let Trevor go first and get his thoughts out there because you did a great job of what I was hoping you would do and knew you would do, which is giving Blaze Berlowitz his flowers on how much better he has been this fall than what we saw last fall out of him. Mm-hmm. And exactly what you hit on in the spring is we're not just coming in and saying Jared Curtis is the guy, Jared Curtis is the best, Jared Curtis is better than Blaze Berlowitz. More talented and raw talent, sure, that's prevalent and was obvious from spring. Yeah, but Blaze Berlowitz was better in the spring than Jared Curtis. We said that after spring. We said that basically every day after spring. Like you said, in the fall, it's been back and forth depending on the day. But the overall performance of what I've seen out of Jared Curtis is, I said beforehand that Blaze Berlowitz would have to be significantly better than Curtis because of the upside that Curtis has. Blaze Berlowitz has not been significantly better. If anything, I think objectively, I saw a message board post that was interesting, and it wasn't on the Q&A, where it said, it sounds to me, or something similar to this, it sounds to me like if you removed the numbers off the jerseys, that right now Blaze Berlowitz would be the starter. And I said, actually, I think it's the opposite. I think there's a lot of benefit being given to Blaze Berlowitz because of the inherent idea that he knows the offense so well. And some of this is because of behind the scenes, what they're seeing in the film room, what we don't have access to. Yeah. But what you actually see performance on the field wise, combining everything from just drills to 7-on-7 to 11-on-11, I think it's the opposite. I think your evaluation would be, you got to start that other guy, which is Jared Curtis. So I have a very similar take to Trevor. I think he will be the guy. I think he should be the guy is more my take, is I think Jared Curtis should be the starter. I think it is a real quarterback competition. This is not based on reps we've seen or who's running with what teams. This is based on performance and what we have evaluated. So that's the evaluation of the quarterback situation. I think Jared Curtis is the more talented quarterback. I think Blaze Berlowitz does have an edge in knowledge overall of the offense, but I don't think that means an edge in decision-making when the live bullets are flying. I don't think that means an edge in making sure your offense doesn't get procedural penalties. I don't think that means an edge in that. I think it means an edge in the amount of plays that you can implement prior to game day, which is a reason, as whoever it would be, and whoever it is on the coaching staff or whatever would possibly lean towards Blaze Berlowitz, is I want to be able to run more of my offense, or I want to be able to implement more prior to the game, or he can check into these audibles when he sees these coverages. Jared Curtis is behind Blaze Berlowitz in that. Yeah. But in everything else, he's ahead. And so that's where I ultimately sit, is you don't invest about $2 million, which is the estimated amount that's public, in a guy like Jared Curtis. And then if the competition is extremely close, or if even Curtis seems like he's slightly ahead, you're starting that guy. So it's Jared Curtis. It should be Jared Curtis. That's the official take of, I think, both me and Trevor. Yeah. We'll see as camp progresses, but it's gotten to the point that it doesn't matter if there are a couple days here and there that are different. I've seen enough. I've seen enough. I've made my evaluation. I'll continue to update on the board as to how people do day in, day out. I said today, Blaise Berlowitz won today. I'll give it behind the paywall. That's what I said today. That doesn't change my evaluation of the quarterback competition and what I've seen overall, though.
And to give you guys a little bit of an inside look at like my methodology, I said this on the board. So what I value a lot whenever I'm looking at the quarterbacks is, I'm going to be totally honest. This might be like a non-ball knower take. I don't really care how you look whenever it's like one-on-ones and it's just Junior Sherrill versus whoever. It is what it is. Like, I think that's more helps the DBs and the wide receivers than anybody. I don't think that is real football. I'm not big in looking at 7-on-7s and looking at pass shells. Do I think it has value? Absolutely. I want to see what you do in 11-on-11s. And for me, to be totally frank, what I've seen in that aspect and really what I saw in the scrimmage this Saturday, I think truly solidified it for me. What I saw in live real speed action is what locked it down for me.
That's what cemented it for me more than anything. And it's you can have miscellaneous evaluation. Blaise Berlowitz had a good scrimmage too. Like, I just want to say that both quarterbacks were good, which is what we'll get to maybe later in this episode, which was one of my key takeaways and my biggest takeaway, which was a little disappointed in what I saw out of the defense, to be completely honest. But the biggest takeaway, even if you evaluate the quarterbacks and say, oh, you had preconceived notions going in, or, oh, these guys are being blinded by the stars, or whatever it is. The fact that you're debating who had the better performance in scrimmage 1 of fall camp should give you the answer. You know, that there was no separation. At the most generous you can be to Blaise, it was an even split on Saturday. Fair? At the most generous. I'm saying generous, like extremely generous. It was an even split.
I don't think I would go. I don't want to be that guy, but like I thought
so too.
Okay. I don't want to sound like an asshole, but I thought if you are the most generous, I thought Curtis still had a better
I'm being
day.
Extreme on this. I gave my evaluation. Jared Curtis was better. But even if you're one of the people that's like they were dead even, which is the most generous you can possibly be, Blaise Berlowitz definitely did not outshine Jared Curtis at the scrimmage on Saturday. The fact they're even makes the decision for you. Like, that's where people are overcomplicating it to me. And we'll see in scrimmage too, and we have more to evaluate and way more to talk about. Because despite what most people think on the outside, I don't think quarterback is fully going to determine how this offense plays. The most important positions are other positions we're going to talk about in 1 second, and I think it starts with running back. So are you ready to transition to other positions that we really want to talk about?
I will say too, before and this will be a common theme throughout analyzing this offense, is we don't have a lot of fall camp left, actually. No. We have 4 practices, 1 scrimmage left, and then camp's done, and then they move on to Austin Peay. Do you think Clark Lee will name a starter Sunday? So scrimmage will be Saturday. Do you think he has a press conference and names it Sunday?
I think he will either name it Sunday, or there will be an or on the depth chart going into Austin Peay. I think it's one of the two. I would lean, and what I hope happens is he names a starter after the second scrimmage, after fall camp is over. So you've pushed both the guys, and it's Jared Curtis, and then all the media questions can shift and focus to Austin Peay and how is he going to perform in the quarterback situation rather than who's going to be the quarterback. That's what's going to be the worst time of this. Is right now during fall camp, it's fine. I think it actually, keeps the gas pedal down to the floor.
It keeps competition going.
All that. And also the conversation around fall camp, it drives interest in what's going on at Vanderbilt fall camp. If it's still a conversation the 2 weeks leading up to Austin Peay, then it's a distraction. And that's where I think the benefit, especially with neither guy having much on film, I think that's where the cost outweighs the benefit. So I really hope Clark Lee names a starter after the final scrimmage.
Yeah, I agree.
But let's move on to running back
Mhm.
because I'm excited to get into the rest of this offense because we've observed a ton during fall camp. And I know there are guys that me and Trevor want to point out at each position group, but I'm going to do basically what I did on defense, but do it with statistics. I wish I would have done that during the defensive preview, but I'm going to go through and name the departing guys. I'm not going to name depth departing guys,
Mhm.
I don't think, but I'm going to name guys that contributed last season. So to start off in the running back room, we talked about the departure we didn't even mention it, but Diego Pavia is obviously gone from the quarterback room. We forgot to mention that for people that are casually tuning in. Yeah, Vanderbilt lost the Heisman runner-up in Diego Pavia to the quarterback room. Pretty big deal. Signed to the Ravens practice squad, was cut. Yeah, that's a big loss. To the program.
Fuck Baltimore.
Yeah, it's always been fuck Baltimore.
Fuck you,
Titans
Jesse
fans
Minter.
over here. Trevor's not a Titans fan, but I am.
No, go Birds. The
Um,
Eagles, not Baltimore. Fuck
so
you, Baltimore.
I had to mention that at the beginning because Vanderbilt's leading rusher last year was not a running back,
No.
and it was Diego Pavia
Mhm.
at quarterback. Ran the ball 167 times for 862 yards and 10 touchdowns. That is a huge loss of production in the running game. Vanderbilt also loses A.J. Newberry. Where did he transfer?
Oregon State.
Okay, A.J. Newberry transfers out, 18 carries for 57 yards and 3 touchdowns last year. That's fine. I mean, it's
That's kind of how I feel about it. Yeah.
You know, I like Newberry. His mom was awesome.
Yeah. Shout out to her, man.
Yeah, I hope he succeeds at Oregon State. It's not a big loss.
There's
to
a
the running
reason.
back
I
room.
believe James L. Laster had more carries than him at the end of this season.
So James L. Laster had more yards, but
More
not
yards.
carries.
Okay, my apologies.
And you also out of the running back room have guys that caught the football decently well. Sedrick Alexander had 19 catches for 200 yards, 4 touchdowns. MK Young with 14 catches, 133 yards, no touchdowns. And then Laster, of course, had 4 catches, 57 yards, no touchdowns. One of those was a big-time screen. Was it South Carolina?
South Carolina.
Yep. So a lot of production returning in this running back room now that I've listed out the departures. Sedrick Alexander coming back, 105 carries, 567 yards, and 11 rushing touchdowns combined with those 4 receiving touchdowns, 15 total touchdowns last year. You also bring back MK Young, explosive playmaker, one of your key guys out of camp last year. 46 carries, 414 yards for those that need the math done. That is 9 yards per carry. Expect a way bigger amount of carries for MK Young this fall. I don't want to spoil any of your takes, but
No,
6 touchdowns for MK Young, with his most memorable being against Missouri. That big time
Oh my
run.
gosh.
You also return, like I mentioned, James L. Lassiter, and then you have some newcomers in as well. Evan Hampton, a 3/4-star out of Kentucky, a running back number 23, and you also have Isaiah Lee, number 20, who I think has had a good spring and a good fall.
I think he has as well.
I think he had a better spring than Evan Hampton. I think Hampton has had a hell of a fall camp. So far. Let's dive into the running back room.
Okay.
Let's get off the stats. What are you thinking in the running back room?
I think out of the entire team, offense and defense, I think this is probably the biggest strength for Vanderbilt. I would put it over linebackers, and I would even put it over safeties. Now, I want to pose this question. Do you fully know what you have in somebody like Sedrick Alexander with the amount of carries that somebody like Diego Pavia has taken away from him the past 2 years? I think that's interesting. I think for the most part, you know what you have in Sedrick Alexander. You have a guy that runs hard, good east to west speed, guy that's good in pass pro, and guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield and make plays. So you have a pretty well-rounded running back. What does a season with Sedrick Alexander getting twice as many carries as he had the past 2 seasons, what does that look like? Is he the type of guy that can eclipse 1,000 yards rushing? Is he the type of guy that can eclipse 1,000 total all-purpose yards? I think that's something that's interesting to me. And I think whenever you look at not just Sedrick Alexander, but the running back room as a whole, I agree with you. I think MK Young is going to get way more carries this year simply because of the departure of Diego Pavia. What does that look like? What does MK Young bring in the pass game? I think we know what Sedrick Alexander brings in the pass game. I think we have a decent idea of what James L. Laster brings in the pass game. What does somebody like MK Young bring in the pass game, who I think has a little bit more like explosiveness than Sedrick Alexander, but I think Sedrick Alexander is definitely more of your bell cow every down back. What does that 3-headed monster look like? What does a 4-headed monster look like if you kind of add in Evan Hampton? How many reps does Evan Hampton get this season? I know that's been a question posed on the board. And I know people are like, okay, does Evan Hampton actually get playing time? And you saw a decent amount of Sedrick Alexander, MK Young, James L. Lassiter, and AJ Newberry last year. I think with the departure of Diego Pavia and all of those extra reps needing to go somewhere, obviously Sedrick's going to get more carries. Obviously MK is going to get more carries. But does that translate to somebody like Evan Hampton? Does that mean James L. Lassiter gets more carries, and therefore does that mean that Evan Hampton gets more carries? I think that's a possibility. I think they have a real wealth of talent in the running back room. I think fans are going to be really impressed with Evan Hampton, particularly in the pass game. I think what he can do as an extension of the run game could be really, really, really valuable to this offense. So I'm really intrigued about the running back room. But the big question I want to pose to you is, do you think Sedrick Alexander is a 1,000-yard rushing kind of guy now that he's going to be getting a lot more work as he has the past 2 years?
Yes. I'm very confident in Sedrick Alexander. The one guy you didn't bring up that I thought you would add, you kind of did, is what does MK Young look like? He was a 9-yard per carry guy last year. His yards per carry is going to go down. There's not a doubt. We both know his carries are going to go up. You're replacing 167 carries with Pavia. Both Blaise Berlowitz and Jared Curtis have running ability. That part's not gone, but they're not going to carry the ball 167 times like Pavia. So where do about 100 or so carries go? I mean, I think 50 of them go to Seddy, 50 of them go to MK Young. I think Seddy's going to be up there in the 150, 160 range. MK is going to be about 100 carries in the year. And then you're going to have a guy like Evan Hampton step up and James L. Lassiter split those remaining, 30 carries between AJ Newberry and Lassiter from last year. That's my thought on it initially. I think you're going to see a lot of James L. Lassiter. I still am questioning whether he's a true RB3 or if he's still kind of that gadget guy that's plugged in. Evan Hampton feels like he's made big strides in the fall. I did not see it in the spring. I did not see it.
Let's be quite frank. Evan Hampton had a bad spring.
Everybody was asking about him in the spring. I did not see it at all. In the fall, I've seen it. I was watching and I was going in with a relatively negative slant of he played in Kentucky, bad competition. He's looked really good, especially like you said, as an extension of the passing game. That's a part of the running backs that's really undervalued. The ability to get out of the backfield, be a dump down option, and actually make relatively difficult catches. I think Evan Hampton has that. But the main guys are going to be Sedrick Alexander and MK Young. We get kind of lost because we're so deep into it and discussing the RB3 situation. Like, yes, Vanderbilt utilizes a ton of multi-back packages, and you're going to see Evan Hampton get reps, and you're going to see James L. Lassiter out in the field. But keep in mind that their total carries are going to combine for 30 on the entire season. It's going to be the Sedrick Alexander and MK Young show. And I think it's actually going to be even more than that. I think Vanderbilt's going to run the hell out of the ball. So yes, you're going to see Evan Hampton, you're going to see James L. Lassiter, but MK Young and Sedrick Alexander, specifically Sedrick Alexander, man, he's going to be the bell cow this year. And he's not the most explosive running back, but he's got the build to be an every single down back. And they're going to have to be, whether it's Blaise Berlowitz or Jared Curtis. But I'm very high on this running back room.
Now, this is a question for you. Do you think that Sedrick Alexander and MK, and more broadly speaking, how this offense is going to function this year, do you think those guys have the possibility for, let's say, Sedrick Alexander to be a 1,000-yard rushing back, and then MK also at the same time be like a 700-yard back? Do you think
if that is the case, if that is the case, a lot has gone right. That means that the passing attack has made the defense not be able to stack the box. I think it's possible. Yes. I think I don't know if people are fully prepared for the shift in offensive style you're going to see from last year to this year.
It's going to be such a 2024 Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
look.
last in 2024, Pavia threw less than 300 total passes. In 2025, Pavia threw 378 passes. You're getting way back more to the 2024 numbers. I think even more pulled back into the running game. So that's the part of, I do think they can get there. That also doesn't mean the offense necessarily is going to be explosive or keeping control. I just think that's where the offense is going to live and die, is going to be through the running game. I mean, every discussion is about the quarterback. that's going to determine a lot of games as well. But the running game is where that's the meat and potatoes. The quarterback situation in the passing game, that's the vegetables, that's the dessert, that's the other part. Like, that's where this team can hit their ceiling. But as far as the floor on this team and getting to a bowl game, that's all going to be about this offensive line, which we'll get to later, and this running game living up to expectations.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Next up, let's keep it kind of in the running game related. Let's go to offensive line.
The big boys.
That's a big discussion here. Vanderbilt lost 4 starting offensive linemen from the team last season. Center Jordan White is a huge piece to lose. Bryce Henderson at the tackle position, Isaiah Glass at the tackle position, and then Chase Mitchell at the guard position. Returning, you have Cade McConnell at guard, and then you got some depth pieces in Gunnar Givens and Kivo Wesley on the interior. You also have Clinton Azubike, who is technically returning at that tackle position.
Yeah. Orion Irving.
Orion Irving, yes, also returning at the tackle.
Who we also learned today, his first name is not Orion. It's Orion.
You have him returning as well. Gunnar Givens on that interior, like I just mentioned. But then coming in out of the portal, you have some really interesting names. Number one, I'll start with the guy that seemed to be like an anchor all camp, and that's Bo Johnson. Transfer which Dakota?
South Dakota State.
From South Dakota State. Looks like they hit on that one. Paid a decent amount of money in the portal and hit on Bo Johnson. You also brought in Lyndon Cooper from Pittsburgh. Question marks around that. Micah DeBose from Alabama, an interior offensive lineman. And am I missing anybody? You have Mitchell Smith as a freshman. I feel like I'm missing somebody.
No.
Okay.
No. You are. Nope, you're good.
Okay. So you feel like you have established a few pieces, and Clark Lee mentioned specifically 2 guys as anchors of the line, which is Cade McConnell and Bo Johnson. Those are going to be guys, without a doubt, you're seeing starting. Trevor, other than that, how do you see this offensive line shaping up? So
I'll go ahead and say this. I hate giving like absolutes. I actually don't, because it's kind of my bread and butter. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Could I have egg on my face? Absolutely. If I do get egg on my face, will I come on here and eat crow? Absolutely. I think Bo Johnson is a huge upgrade over Bryce Henderson. I'm with you. I think they really, really, really hit on Bo Johnson. You know what you have in Cade McConnell? A nice, like you said, an anchor, a nice steady presence within the interior of that offensive line. Lyndon Cooper interests me. It's interesting. We had him for media availability last week, and I wanted to ask about the communication and how that's been going. I know that Coach Klinakis, whenever he was in the same media availability, said that he's actually been really pleased with the communication on the offensive line and actually feels like they're really, really far ahead. Coach K isn't the type of guy to bullshit you if something's not going right. I think he's going to tell you something's not going right. So I believe him whenever he says the communication is good. Lyndon Cooper also, whenever I followed up and asked about communication, said that is good as well. I like Johnson a lot. I obviously love Cade, and I like Cooper. DeBose, who I think that's an interesting battle that I'm not entirely sure is settled, actually, is Micah DeBose on the other interior guard position. I think they're settled as Azubike at tackle, at strong tackle. I think that they're going to go ahead and roll with Azubike. Let me start out with Azubike for a second. Is there going to be lumps with Clinton Azubike at tackle? 100%. Yes. Do I think that Vanderbilt under Clark Lee and particularly Chris Klinakis has trotted out worse tackles than Clinton Azubike? Yes. And I think that Clinton Azubike is further along at that position than Chase Mitchell was, actually. And of course, this is no shade to Chase Mitchell. He wasn't a tackle. It was just, you got to put him in there somewhere. I also think with how this offense functions, and they obviously run such a heavy amount of 12 personnel, I think in pass pro, he's going to have a lot of help with Cole Spence. And I think that could alleviate some of the growing pains or some of the bumps in the road that you might see whenever it comes to those edge rushers. So with that being said, is there going to be bumps and bruises with Clinton Zubike? Yes. Is there going to be bumps and bruises, particularly in the run game? Yes, that's something that Coach Klenakis mentioned, is that he's such a big guy. Playing with pad level and getting down is tough for somebody at his size. Do I see the vision with Clinton Zubike? Yes. And I'm going to say this too. And it's not apples to apples, because obviously like tackles is so important to protect your quarterback and maintain your quarterback health. The argument that we've been saying, one of the arguments we've been saying for Curtis is, do you risk him missing valuable reps versus Austin P in Delaware going into NC State? I think that's a big reason to start Curtis. You can't afford to let him miss those reps. Similarly, I think that also might be an argument for Clinton Zubike. I don't think you can have him miss those valuable reps versus Austin P and versus Delaware going into NC State. I think those are actually really, really important to his development throughout the season. So I think they're pretty settled at Clinton Zubike. I could be wrong. DeBose is interesting. There's been some instances I like what I see. There's been some instances I don't like what I see. I think Micah DeBose is actually really strong in the run game. And I've said this, I think I said this during spring. I've said this throughout the summer, and I've continued to say it throughout fall. I think the run game is going to be a real strength for this offensive line. Pass pro, particularly on the strong side, TBD. And that's what I'll put it at, TBD. Do I think that Kiva Wesley could come in and take that guard position? I could see a world where he does. Yes, I could see a world where he does. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a savant whenever it comes to interior offensive line play. There have been instances to where I like what I've seen out of Kiva Wesley. There's been instances where I've seen some stuff that I'm like, that's clearly a guy who has battled injuries his entire career and still might not have his feet underneath him. That'll be really interesting to see going into the Austin Peay game. So that's my long-winded spiel on the offensive line.
I think it's a good spiel on the offensive line. I think you broke down everything I wanted to say, which the main point I wanted to hit on was I like what I've seen out of the running game. I'm very hesitant on the pass pro. Mm-hmm. That's the main point I'm taking out of fall camp. I don't know if really anything can change in the last 4 to 5 days outside of I have kind of complete faith in Chris Klenakis in a way that I've said it and used the example of I'm a believe it when I see it kind of guy, which is I'm a believe it when I see it that Clark Lee can have a competent pass defense. He hasn't really had that his entire 5 years previously. And I'll believe it when I see it that Chris Klenakis can't get a group of offensive linemen together and at least be mediocre. So right now I'm putting the baseline at mediocre on the offensive line, which for a Vanderbilt offensive line is a good offensive line. So full faith in Chris Klenakis. For me.
Yeah. And two, this is just also going into Tim Beck. I think the offensive scheme works really well with maybe I don't want to call it a deficient offensive line, but an offensive line that like has some holes. And every offensive line has some holes, but some holes are bigger than others.
Yeah.
And I think the offense works really, really well with sort of masking those deficiencies. Like, don't get me wrong. Like last year, Vanderbilt's offensive line has some clear deficiencies. The year before that, like they were playing a guard at tackle all season long. And we left that 2024 season being like, damn, that was a good offensive line for Vanderbilt standards. So I'm with you. I have a lot of believe it when I see it things. Like I'll believe it. Like I totally agree. I'll believe it when I see it whenever I see a competent secondary. I'll believe it when I see it whenever I see a good front four pass rush for Vanderbilt. I'm sort of I can believe it without totally seeing it with the Vanderbilt offensive line.
In the same way. Before we get into tight ends here, have some supporting sponsors that I want to get to. First up, a New Leaf Counseling and Consulting. Vandy Nation, we survived the Stackhouse and Mason years. Our mental health has taken a beating. Much better now.
Yes.
When life gets tough, don't turn to AI for support. Turn to Coleman Thompson and the licensed professionals at A New Leaf Counseling and Consulting. You can learn more or schedule an appointment at www.anewleafcounseling.net. Next up from West End Sports Partners. West End Sports Partners is redefining the Vanderbilt fan experience through exclusive events, premium memberships, original content, and meaningful NIL opportunities. Qualifying memberships at West End Sports Partners include the Dore Report annual subscription, giving members access to even more Commodores they love. You can learn more at westendsportspartners.com. Okay, Trevor, time to move on to an extension, you could say, of the offensive line, but also an extension of the passing game, and that is the tight ends. A room that does lose a lot of talent.
Yeah.
Maybe the most, I know it's crazy to say this when you have a runner-up in the Heisman, I think definitely the most talented player that was on this roster last year, and that's Eli Stowers, second-round pick of the Philadelphia Eagles, third leading receiver on the team, led the team in receptions overall, 62 catches, 769 yards, and 4 touchdowns, and that really doesn't do justice to how many times Eli Stowers came up clutch for Vanderbilt. I mean, I went back and watched that Auburn game, the amount of tough catches he made and the connection he had with Pavia in have-to-have-it downs. That was the go-to guy. If you needed a third down, Pavia was locked in on Stowers. Maybe to a fault, he was locked in on Stowers because that was the guy. So that is a huge loss. You also lose Emmanuel Adibi, who is a hell of a blocker.
Yeah.
But the main loss is Eli Stowers. Before I get into the discussion about how great this tight end room is, I want people to understand that I understand the loss of Eli Stowers. So now it's time to get into what Vanderbilt has in the tight end room, and that is a lot of talent. You return Cole Spence, who didn't have incredible stats last year, but is an incredible all-around tight end and will have an expanded role in the passing game this season. Was Vanderbilt's fifth leading pass catcher, 15 catches for 6th leading pass catcher, but 15 catches for 233 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a huge touchdown. Was it against Auburn?
Auburn, and I believe he had a big one against LSU.
Yeah, both of those at home. Cole Spence, we'll start with him. Incredible all-around tight end. Just, you know what you have in Cole Spence, and he's going to have an expanded role this year.
Have you kind of been surprised what you've seen out of Cole Spence in fall camp? Or are you like, that's sort of what I expected?
It's what I expected.
Okay. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I had like a lower expectations for Cole Spence going into fall camp, but I feel like he's kind of exceeded my expectations, particularly in the pass game. I think this tight end room is a real strong suit for Vanderbilt. And I think it starts with Cole Spence. I think, and it's not a fault of his own. He obviously got overshadowed by Eli Stowers, which makes sense. He was a second-round NFL draft pick. I'm not sure people realize how good Cole Spence is. And I think he is going to shock a lot of Vanderbilt fans this year. I think there might have been this idea that he's a block first tight end because that's like what Eli wasn't. Eli wasn't an inline tight end, and Cole can play inline and then split out wide. I think people are going to be really surprised with the versatility of Cole Spence, particularly in the pass game.
Yeah, I should have mentioned him as a breakout player in some stuff that I've joined because most people don't know Cole Spence. And I had the expectation going into fall camp, well, he's just going to step into that role of true tight end one, and he has every single bit. I mean, he's not going to be Eli Stowers. Nobody's going to step in and be Eli Stowers. But he's done a hell of a job just stepping into that tight end one position. And then you go into the depth of this room. And to start off is my kind of star breakout transfer of the year, Javante Connor, transfer in from ECU, East Carolina. Last season, 23 catches, 333 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's an athletic playmaker out of that tight end room. Not a blocking tight end, but a playmaker out of the tight end room. I think Javante Connor is going to be a weapon for this offense. Averaged 14.5 yards per catch last season.
Yeah, I like what I've seen out of him in fall so far. Kind of had a so-so spring, has really come along in the fall, and I'm with you. Is going to be a weapon.
And then also you have the physical specimen of Walt Taylor transitioning from quarterback to tight end, transferred to Colorado, then to Ball State, then back to Vanderbilt. Now is a tight end, 6'5", 250 pounds or something like that.
252 pounds. Also, shout out to Vandy SID. She's going to get us a updated height and weight tomorrow, I believe.
Perfect. Walt Taylor, I'm torn on how much you're going to – I know how much – you're going to see a ton of Cole Spence. You're going to see a ton of Javante Connor. I don't know what to – and honestly, you're going to see a lot of Mo Vinny. Like, you're going to see a lot of number 19 out there as a blocking tight end. He's going to fill that a DB role. I don't know how much you're going to see out of Walt Taylor.
Can I give a take?
Zero.
I think so also, if you haven't been watching the coach's media availability, Gabe Fisher is also being utilized in the tight end position. I think you're going to see more Gabe Fisher in the pass game than you are Walt Taylor.
Okay.
That's a hot take going into the season. I think Gabe Fisher is going to have a bigger tight end role than Walt Taylor. That's not because Walt Taylor's bad. I think he's made really, really, really good strides in the fall. I still think he's learning I know he is still learning that position. Like, he just transitioned to tight end like a couple months ago. I think he's still learning that.
Yeah, he's way better now than he was in the spring, but that
Yes.
tight end room is crowded with a lot of talent. Maurice Vini, Mo Vini, he's going to be the blocking guy along with Gabe Fisher.
I think people are going to like him.
Yeah.
I think because people love Gabe Fisher because he's like that gritty old school. I think people are going to like big number 19 Mo because he's very like gritty, like put on hat to hat type guy.
Yeah, now moving to the guys on the outside, the wide receivers. Number one, Vanderbilt loses their leading receiver in receiving yardage, Trey Richardson, wide receiver, 46 catches, 809 yards, 7 touchdowns last year. Everybody that's a Vanderbilt fan remembers how explosive Trey Richardson was last year. It's a huge loss. That speed you just cannot replace, and Vanderbilt did not replace it in the transfer portal. We'll get to the guys they did bring in. Transferred out to Louisville. Vanderbilt also loses Richie Hoskins to graduation, all-time glue guy.
Oh, God. White boy Rich, we will always remember you in the streets.
28 catches, 321 yards, 3 touchdowns last year. Big loss for Vanderbilt on that one. Vanderbilt also loses Trent Hudson. Had to throw that one out there.
Did they?
They lost Trey Hudson. And that's about it. That you lose out of the wide receiver room. I say that's about it. That's a lot of losses. You lose
Trent Hudson's at Austin Peay, by the way. So he'll face Vanderbilt week 1.
Yeah. So overall, before we get into the wide receiver room, we already talked about tight ends. Vanderbilt loses 3 of their top 4 receivers or pass catchers from last year in Trey Richardson, Eli Stowers, and Richie Hoskins. That's a lot to replace. Now let's get to what they have. Junior Sherrill returns. Wide receiver 1, without a doubt. Junior Sherrill has done nothing in fall camp outside of just show why he is the best wide receiver and a true SEC wide receiver 1. I've been thoroughly impressed. Last season, 54 catches, 784 yards, 7 touchdowns. Fully healthy this year. Yeah, expectations through the roof for Junior Sherrill.
I agree.
Getting to the rest of what Vanderbilt has, brought in a very interesting transfer from Old Dominion in Ja'Cory Thomas. I need to pull up Ja'Cory's stats from Old Dominion, but he was the guy that was assumed to come in and be the replacement. Well, replacement is the wrong word, but step in and be wide receiver 2 behind Junior Sherrill. Last year at Old Dominion, 41 catches, 719 yards, 5 touchdowns, 17.5 yards per catch. Not a deep threat speed guy like those stats might lay out. 6'3", 215 pounds, big body, physical receiver, really good get off at the line of scrimmage, but not the straight line speed of Trey Richardson.
Top 10 returning SEC wide receiver according to Pro Football Focus.
So I say all that. I went in, did not love what I saw out of Ja'Cory Thomas in the spring.
Battling a hamstring.
I don't think either of us did. Early in fall, did not thoroughly impress. After the first 2 to 3 days, Ja'Cory Thomas has stepped into the role of the second best wide receiver. In my eyes, he's wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
He's what they're looking for. He's going to be really solid across from Junior Sherrill. And I say all that to say it's still going to be a downgrade from Trey Richardson. But I've been impressed with what I've seen from Ja'Cory Thomas.
Yeah, I agree. I have nothing else to add. I know that going into fall camp, one of my big things I was looking at was who's going to step into that wide receiver 2 slot. And Ja'Cory Thomas has taken it and ran with it. He's your wide receiver 2. He's going to be starting for your Vanderbilt Commodores week 1.
Yep. And then you get to some names that could be playing in the slot, and that is Cole Adams, transfer receiver from Alabama. I think only had 5 catches for 71 yards last year. And then Tristan Brown, who is also battling kind of for that slot spot / rotation in the wide receiver room. Tristan Brown has had a really good fall camp.
Yeah. I'm selling my stock in Cole Adams. So just going to go ahead and say that. I'm not saying he's going to be a bust, but maybe I am.
I, going into fall camp, basically had penciled in Cole Adams as obviously the slot guy. I'm still not sold because Tristan Brown and Joseph McVay, and I'm throwing in both of them, have seemed to be camp warriors to an extent.
Yeah.
For multiple years. So maybe Cole Adams is a gamer. That could be a possibility. But there's been a real push, and I'm erasing Cole Adams as being the sure guy that slotted in there at that slot spot for Vanderbilt. So
Yeah.
I think it's much more of a battle. I think that's one of the spots that can shift the last 5 days of fall camp is that wide receiver 3, whatever you want to call it, battle.
Yeah.
And then moving on to some other guys, Caleb Barnett, small gadget guy.
Yeah.
He's never going to be a guy that goes out and runs the route tree. He's just not. He's a gadget guy. He's listed at what, 5'8", 170.
Yeah. 5'8", 155.
Man, that is a stretch.
Yeah.
But he's explosive.
Maybe 155 with pads.
Yeah,
on.
he's their fastest receiver, as was pointed out by the wide receivers coach. But man, he can't run the route tree consistently. He can't get hit head on consistently. And then you move on to a guy that we get asked about a lot, which is Bryson Coleman, making the transition from tight end to wide receiver. I know that reports out there have had more positive things. I've liked at times what I have seen from Bryson Coleman. Is he put it all together and is ready to be a down in, down out wide receiver? No, he's not. Like, I'm not a savant, like you said about the offensive line. I'm not a savant about receiver play, but I watch the receivers a lot, and he's just not there consistently. And the hands still look like the hands of a tight end right now. And I think maybe he can get there. But right now, he still looks like a guy that's transitioning from tight end to wide receiver and could be utilized. But I don't think he's ready to make that jump of being an actual wide receiver utilized just as a wide receiver in this offense.
I totally agree. Yeah. I'm in lockstep with you.
We have some freshmen as well. I'll point out one in particular, Owen Cabell, decommitted from Alabama, committed to Vanderbilt on signing day. He didn't really stand out to me the first, 7 or 8 days of camp. He's had a good last 2 to 3 days of camp. I've noticed him. Trevor, you might not have.
Yeah.
But I've noticed him the last 2 to 3 days, and he's had a really good last couple of days.
There's a wide receiver that we have not highlighted who has made some spectacular plays. That's Claiborne Richards. That's Claiborne Richards.
Remember number 80, brother.
Whenever you see a what do they have Claiborne at? Whenever you see a 5'11", 182 pound white boy run out there, that's Claiborne Richards. And buckle up, Buttercup.
Yeah, you better have he's going to be a guy that might come in late in the game, God willing, that Austin Peay game goes the right way. Austin Peay's a hell of a team, top 20 FCS team, but God willing goes the right way. And Claiborne Richards trots out there. You better not have your third string corner out there. He's about to burn him, brother.
No, you're like, oh, Vandy's up 30. Vandy's up 32 points. It's late in the third quarter. Don't go get popcorn. You sit your ass in your seat. You watch Claiborne Richards.
That boy's about to take it to the house.
Yeah.
He's about to moss
He's
somebody.
going to take the top off the defense.
No, Claiborne Richards actually has had like 2 of the best catches of all of camp so far.
Yes.
Legitimately. All right, that is it for the Vanderbilt offense. Special teams, really quick. You know what you got at kicker. You got one of the best kickers in the country, and that's Brock Taylor.
I'm going to say the best kicker in the country.
Yeah, there's no reason to dig into that too much. 60 of 61 on extra points, 13 of 14 on field goals overall. Vanderbilt didn't kick a lot of field goals last year, which is keeping Brock Taylor off a lot of lists because they just didn't kick a lot. He should be an all-SEC first-team kicker. He's that good.
He should be an All-American.
Yeah.
That Tate kid at Oklahoma, just because he wears those little short shorts, give me Brock all day long.
And you got Tyler Ebel at punter, really solid.
Murder leg.
Yep. And then you got Caden Schickel at long snapper, transfer from Michigan State with a colorful arm sleeve.
I will say this. Tyler Ebel's hang time is really impressive.
They got another good punter.
His
very
hang time is very impressive.
Well, if you'll remember, one of my spring takeaways before I realized Ebel was not there yet is the punting looked rough. And then I realized, their actual punter is not here yet. Yeah. I no longer have that take. In fact, the punting looks good.
Also, Tyler Ebel's built like a shit brick
He's
house.
huge.
Dude, he's fucking massive. Like, I'm not fucking... Hold on. What do they have him listed at? Because whatever they have him listed at is small. He's 6'4", 252. I'm not fucking around. That dude is probably 6'4", 265.
He's a unit.
He's a big ass man.
Yeah.
He is
You could
big.
slot him in with the backers and nobody would question a thing.
Dude, no, he is a big boy.
But that is it for the offense. Do you want to run through and do grades like we did for the defense? Because that's actually going to be really tough for this offense.
I'm actually kind of dreading
the defense was easy. The offense is going to be tough. Let's start with quarterback. What do you got, Trevor? I'm swinging it to you, brother.
Am I grading the whole quarterback room or am I grading?
So there can be some nuance to it, but give your just grade. This can be subjective just like a professor. It can be subjective.
Okay.
Because I have some nuance to mine.
Oh my God. This is so hard.
It's a brutal grade.
Pause. Can you go first?
Okay.
Go. I can't.
So
I don't know what to
this
give.
is maybe the toughest grade to give on the entire roster.
Yes.
I'm going to go a C-. And there's a lot of nuance to that C-. You could grade it as lower, you could grade it as higher. This quarterback room has zero proven ability.
That's where I'm
None.
struggling. That's my hang up.
The bigger part of this and why I'm giving it a C-, because I almost gave it in the D range, is if let's say that Vanderbilt trots out Jared Curtis and Jared Curtis gets injured or looks horrendous. Vanderbilt squeaks out wins against Austin Peay and Delaware, but he looks bad. I'm very confident that Vanderbilt might have, I know you only play one quarterback at a time, but in the modern transfer portal era, Vanderbilt has two very serviceable quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very confident that the team's win-loss over-under doesn't change dramatically with Curtis or Blaise Berlowitz at that position. So I'm very confident Vanderbilt has two serviceable quarterbacks. Am I confident they have any good quarterbacks this season? No. So I'm going with the C-, not based on potential of the quarterback room, but just based on what they have this year. I think whoever plays that quarterback position, who we stated we think is Jared Curtis, I think you're going to see a C or C- performance out of that quarterback position. And at times it's going to be a D- or an F, and at times it's going to be a B+ or an A. I think that's regardless of Berlowitz or Curtis, but I think it's going to even out at the end of the year at about a C-.
Yeah.
So I'm going C-. That's a bit of a cop-out grade, but
man, I'm still really struggling. Okay, I'll try and give some nuance like you. I think if I'm grading the quarterback room as a whole, and when I say quarterback room, I'm not going to include Witt and Jack Elliott on this. I'm just going to look at Jared and Blaise. I'll give them a B- teetering on C+ because I agree. I think you have two serviceable quarterbacks, and I actually agree with you. I'm not sure the win total changes that much between the two of them. I think whenever you look at the two of them, I think you're also looking at win total, but you're looking at the future progression of this Vanderbilt football program, which is huge. I mean, anybody says that they're not thinking about that is lying to you, to be blunt. I believe it's going to be Jared Curtis. Jared Curtis is a 5-star plus quarterback and the most talented quarterback. No, I'm not saying he's going to be the most successful, but just in pure raw talent is going to be the most talented quarterbacks who ever play for Vanderbilt Commodores. Are there going to be games to where you see him give an F? Yes. He's 19 years old. Are there going to be games, I think, to where you're going to be like, holy shit, Vandy could win a national title in a couple of years? Yes, I do. So with that variability, you have an F, you have an A, all meet in the middle.
By the way, he's only 18, not 19.
I thought he was 19.
I just looked it up. December 21st, 06. This is his birthday.
Damn, I thought he was 19.
He turns 19 December 21st.
Okay, so sorry, but I'll
wait, is that no? You're right.
Yeah, he's
I just
19.
said horrendous.
I was gonna say, like, you said so confident.
Oh my God!
You said it so confidently that in my brain I was doing the math, and I'm like, wait,
This is where the numbers are starting to blur together. It's 2026.
Yeah.
It's 2026. Not good God. Okay, continue.
Yeah, he's 19.
Holy.
Yeah. But so because I think he'll give you F, and I think the same thing with Blaise. I think if it is Blaise will give you F moments. will Blaze have some moments to where he might give you an A? I think so. So because of that, I'll just meet in the middle and I'll give a cop-out C.
Okay, you said B- and C. So which one are you going with?
I don't. This is why it's so hard.
Pause.
Pause.
Oh, God.
Oh, God, it's Phoebe Meows. Fuck it. I'm going to give a B.
A B.
Everybody gets a B.
A B.
Everybody gets a B minus. B minus.
B minus.
Everybody gets a B minus.
Officially a B minus.
I am fighting with myself.
This
right
is such
now.
a variation in grade. We're off to a hot start. So I'm going C minus. Trevor's going B minus. Ooh. B minus. I think the ceiling of this room is very I don't mean a C minus in like the C. I could be grading this room and Jared Curtis comes out and it's phenomenal. Like I can see that. I do think the floor is really low too. So that's why I'm also going. I could see grading out this quarterback room. It's like I don't see an F, but I can see a D minus at the end of the year of being like, man, Curtis is the future guy, but he looked rough this year. Like I can see that as well. It's not what I expect to happen, but I can see it.
And now, before we go on, I'll say this: if that is the case, which is likely, I'll say it right now on August. What is today? The 17th. I'll say it right now that I'm willing to live with that.
Yeah,
I'm very willing to live with that.
Me as well. I'm not willing to live with it if it's Blaze Berlowitz at quarterback. Next up, offensive line. Another tough grade, brutal grade. I'll go first since Trevor's pondering and debating deeply.
Yeah, go first.
This one's really tough. I'm going to go C+. I want to go higher. I really do. If I graded last year, I would not give it as high of a grade as some others would, and that's probably unfair. I want to see what an offensive line looks like under Chris Glenakis. I already said I have full faith in Chris Glenakis. I want to see what it looks like without the pocket awareness and escapability of Diego Pavia. I think Pavia made up for a lot of deficiencies in the offensive line, especially in 2024, but in 2025 as well. So I like what I've seen out of Bo Johnson. I love what I've seen out of Bo Johnson. I love what I've seen out of Cade McConnell. But if you have one tackle that is just not even to this level of serviceable, then your whole offensive line and pass pro is just screwed up. And I have not seen enough out of Azubike that makes me think there's no possibility that he comes out and it's just atrocious in pass pro. I think he's going to be good in the run game. I'm very confident he can move the man in front of him in the run game. So that's why I'm going C+. That's not a negative score. That's actually kind of positive, but I do have some hesitancies about this offensive line. But I think they'll be good in the run game. Most of my worry stems from pass pro. And then having an inexperienced guy, regardless of who it is, you have a guy that has not seen true live bullets flying at him in games behind that offensive line. And I think that people have taken for granted how good Pavia was inside the pocket and escaping the pocket.
I think I'm a little bit higher on the offensive line than you, so I'm going to go. You gave it a C minus,
C+.
C+. Okay, I'll just go flat B.
Okay. Flat B for Trevor, C+ for me. Next up, running backs. This is where the grades might get a little higher.
This is A minus.
I'm also going A minus.
Okay.
That is where I'm going as well. I think you have a legit two-headed monster. I wish Sedrick had a little bit more breakaway speed. I'm a little bit questionable in MK being as full a down and down out back, getting way more carries than he did last year. And I think you have some questions at RB3, but I do think you have one of the most underrated running back duos in the entire country. It's Sedrick Alexander and MK Young with the worries I just stated. So I'm going A minus on the running back group.
Yeah. Okay.
Tight end room. This is another room that would likely get a decently high score from me and Trevor. Where are you rating this tight end room? I can go first if you need.
A minus.
I am also going to go A minus. I was toying.
I kind of hate how like locked in we are.
Well, we were a little less locked in on the offensive line and the quarterbacks, but
True.
Tight end room also A minus. They're the three strengths of this team are the safety room, the running back room, and the tight end room. And you could throw in special teams. But
Backers?
Yeah, backers as well. But I think backers to me, I'm going to go backers 4, but not much of a gap there. The
Okay.
backers I still think have some prove it to me, like Cowan, for example. I think his potential is like unlimited. I still haven't seen it down in, down out in a game.
That's fair.
Rinaldi, playmaker, disruptor, incredible. I have expectations through the roof. I haven't seen it happen fully.
Yeah.
I've seen CJ Hurd be the guy outside of the Texas game. I've seen what Dante Carter can do. I've seen Ricardo Jones be an all ACC player. I've seen Cole Spence, Javante Connor. I've seen enough. Saw highlights at ECU, and I've seen him in fall camp. Running backs, I've seen MK Young. I've seen Seti. There's still a little bit more hesitance for me in the linebacker room, but they're still one of those top 4 groups. So tight end rooms, both A-. This is where there might be some more variation / complexity. Wide receiver room, the last group in this offense.
I know they lost Trey Richards. I am such a junior Sherrill truther. And I think with the way the offense functions, going back to that 2024 style, I don't think there will be as much of an emphasis in the pass game. So that's also going to impact my grade. I'm going to go with a flat B for the wide receivers.
Okay, that is not too far off of me. So this has been the biggest move for me all of camp. I started out camp lower than this on the wide receiver room. I've shifted up to a B- on the wide receivers.
Okay.
Now, last year, and what I think they had in the wide receiver room for me was like much higher than that. Even in camp, I was so high on Trey Richardson after seeing camp, and we loved Richie and like the depth, and they also had Junior. But I probably went into camp at like a C- or D+ on this wide receiver room. And I was a junior truther. I am even more so spreading the junior Sherrill gospel. Like, he is a legit SEC wide receiver 1. Vanderbilt has had those in the past. That is one of the positions Vanderbilt has had legitimate wide receivers. Junior Sherrill's one of them. Wide receiver 2 was the main reason I had huge question marks. I was not impressed with Ja'Cory Thomas during spring. I was very open about that on my takes. I have been impressed with Ja'Cory Thomas this fall. I think he's going to be a weapon. I still have some questions about his ability to consistently get down the field separation. I think he can get separation consistently within 15 to 20 yards. Can he take the top off of the defense? That's why I'm still at a B-, and I cannot raise it any further. B- is the highest I can go. And maybe I'm being too generous because I was also pretty locked in that Cole Adams was going to be a huge contributor in the slot. I haven't seen that out of Cole Adams in fall camp, but I've been boosted by what I've seen out of Tristan Brown. I do like what I've seen out of Tristan Brown. I don't think you're going to have a bad option in the slot, but it's not going to be at the level of Richie. So I'm going B-. That's a little bit generous, but just because I've been very pleased with what I've seen out of Ja'Cory Thomas. And maybe that is the classic thing of going in with low versus high expectations of a guy. And I just went into spring thinking this is a wide open wide receiver 2 battle, and I've seen Ja'Cory Thomas run away with it. Not as much as Trey Richardson ran away with it last year, but he's run away with it.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to special teams. We didn't really go over returners, but let's start out with the kicking game. What do you rate it?
A+.
A+. Punting game. What do you rate it?
I really like what I've seen out of Caden Shekel.
And Tyler Ebel.
Sorry, and Tyler's. Caden is the long snapper. Shout out to the homie Caden. I don't know him personally. I don't know why I called him the homie.
We're a special teams pod.
We love
special teams, special players, special guys.
We love those.
You know why they call them special teams?
Because they're special guys.
They're special.
Yeah. If the special teams unit has no fans, then know that I'm dead.
And I'm dead.
Yes. I know that TDR is dead.
Yes.
Know that somebody nuked TDR HQ.
Yep.
All of Sylvan Park would be ash and rubble. A?
I'm going A.
Okay.
I
yeah.
really like what I've seen. I was very critical of the punting game before Ebel got here. I'm very
Tyler
positive.
Ebel's got a
He's legit.
He's got a hammer.
And Vandy's
on him.
proven year after
of a leg.
Vandy's proven year after year that they can bring in a punter that can get the job done and be exceptional. So I'm also positive because of that. Now let's go to the return game. Stop. You said it, and you're laughing at yourself. I didn't even say it.
God forbid I think I'm funny. Okay? God forbid.
The return game, likely in kick return, Last year, you saw Trey Richardson and Junior Sherrill. This year, I would guess Junior Sherrill and either Cole Adams or Martell Height or Evan Hampton potentially, who we've seen get some work. I would rather not see Junior Sherrill's so good at kick returns.
I agree. I'd rather not see
him. Like even if it gives you up, like he's not quite to the level of like it's worth the risk. He is the best guy at it, but it's not quite to the level of like he's a Dante Hall or he's how Warren Norman was in the return game or like. So I'd rather not see Junior Sherrill out there. But I think he will be because he's just the best option. Who the other return man is? Who do you think?
Evan Hampton.
I think that's potentially. So where would you rank the kick returners or grade the kick returners?
Are we going kick and punt?
We're going kick first. And
Kick.
we'll punt in a sec.
B.
I'm going B.
Okay.
That's crazy. Yes, B. Punt return. You got Martell Height returning. You also have the potential of Cole Adams stepping into that role. Cole Adams returned punts for Alabama last year and was explosive. You've also seen some work from guys like Junior Sherrill, potentially a guy like James O'Laster, Evan Hampton, a bunch of guys. But really, I think it's Martell Height again. I think that's who's going to return punts. They know what they have. He wasn't extremely explosive last year like I expected. But I'm going to kind of go with a higher grade here.
I think I'll go with an A.
I'm going with an A. I was almost going to go A-, but I'm going to go with an A. I think Martell Height's going to take a couple back this year. I think he had a down year last year, was trying to do too much. I think now he's focused on defense, special teams. And then you have the depth of punt returner. It's literally been a thing in years past with Vanderbilt. You were worried the guy was going to bobble the punt or fumble the punt. Boy, are we
the Will Shepherd years.
We are so they have two incredible options at punt returner. Both Martell Height and Cole Adams are punt returner options that any SEC team would be happy with. So I'm going A. I said A-, I meant A+. I almost went A+ on this because how far Vanderbilt has come in just pure athletes and hand-eye coordination and speed, like just across the board. That's the big part of this roster preview that we've wanted to hit on, and I hope we have the depth of talent they have. Now, the cream of the crop, they're still working on that, like the elite level talent, but the depth of like how many guys you could throw in at punt return and then be good. That's like how many guys you could throw in at kick return and then be really good at it. Like that's your athlete level. And Vanderbilt is through the roof compared to what they have been in years past.
I agree.
That is the entire breakdown and position grades of the Vanderbilt offense. We have a ton of premium message board questions to get to. Trevor, do you have anything you want to add before we go to the TDR cocktail break?
No, I got to get a little tinkle out, though.
All right. Trevor's got to use the restroom. Phoebe is locked into something over here. Everybody grab yourself a delicious hot or cold beverage, and we will be back right after the TDR cocktail break.
I'm not drunk, I promise. But
welcome back from the TDR cocktail break, and welcome back into episode 380. All we have left in episode 380 after the offensive preview of the 2026 Vanderbilt Commodores is the premium message board questions from behind closed doors. Just a reminder to everybody right now, you can subscribe to an annual membership to thedoreport.com for 75% off. That is less than $30 for an annual membership. You get access to the Dore Report, all the fall camp intel, insider info, just incredible articles from our entire team. Colin Bryant, Alex Kerbagov, George Barclay, Brian Carlson, Blake Fromang. I shouldn't have started naming names because I'm going to forget somebody inevitably.
Miller
McKee. Incredible articles all around.
Billiam Derrick.
Yeah, old Billy Derrick. He hasn't actually written any articles.
Yeah.
Produced some incredible podcasts, but it's a great time to subscribe. Before we get into all of the premium message board questions, though, we have some TDR collabs that I need to get to. First up, from the NIL store, visit nil.store/DoreReport15 or use code DoreReport15, all capital letters, no spaces, at checkout for 15% off your entire order. Have some incredible throwback gold jerseys. I might be rocking one of those week 1. We will see. Not so sure anymore. We will see.
You're such a polo guy, and we've had such good luck with you wearing polos that as much as I want you to be a jersey guy, I feel it would fuck with the feng shui.
That's what I'm worried about. So, but they have some incredible stuff
Yeah.
out there. In fact, my girlfriend pointed out that she wanted me to purchase a couple items for her, including a Tyler Tanner is good at basketball shirt that she thought was
you're
funny.
so in now.
Yeah, and she wanted the Bing Bong shirt
Bing
as
bong.
well. Those were the two she wanted from the NIL store. So check out NIL store. Use code DoreReport15 at checkout for 15% off your entire order. That is nil.store/DoreReport15. And then last but absolutely not least, because it will probably be what I end up rocking multiple times throughout the season, that is Rowback. Where did I put the Rowback ad read?
See, at this point, you can just probably go off the dome with it.
No, because they sent us an updated one that I want to get right. Here it is. It was in Microsoft Edge. Why is Microsoft Edge pulling up anything?
Isn't that
Why?
the internet browser?
What the hell is going on? I've made that not pull up ever. Okay. Rowback Activewear. College football is right on the doorstep. Damn, yes, it is. And whether you're hitting the road to cheer on your favorite school, am I having a stroke? An alum repping your alma mater, a current student, or a die-hard tailgater, Rowback has you covered. There's only one way to describe Rowback: best fit, best feel. Rowback is changing the game with incredibly comfortable premium activewear that performs just as well on game day as it does every other day of the week. This season, Rowback's licensed collegiate collection is bigger and better than ever. It's so big. It's so good. Featuring premium polos, quarter zips, hoodies, and more from many of your favorite schools with elevated designs and unmatched comfort. It actually is ridiculously comfortable. I'm literally wearing a quarter zip right now, and it's like 98 degrees outside just because it's so comfortable.
Yeah, the breathability.
It's
Can't beat it, man.
Insane breathability. No one else is combining this level of school pride with this performance of apparel quite like Rowback. Rowback has become the Saturday standard, partnering with many of the game's biggest stars, past and present, while continuing to invest in the next generation of athletes through one of the nation's leading NIL programs. From elite players to passionate fans, Rowback is setting the standard for what college football looks and feels like on and off the field. I know what it looks and feels like.
What does it feel like, Will?
It feels buttery, baby. Whether you're watching from the stands or taking the tailgate scene by storm, Rowback is built for every part of football season. Use code VAN20, that is VAN20, all capital letters, no spaces, on rowback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers. That's spelled Rowback, RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off all performance polo, shorts, and more with code VAN20. I could just clip these recordings and not do them live every time, but I like to bring variation to our sponsors and partners, and that's the TDR difference. You think I'm clipping this shit? No, it's live every day, and it's late, and I'm tired.
It is. It's 10:30.
I have to be up so early tomorrow, and then I have to work a full day at my day job. I have to get the podcast published in
We
the
have
morning.
to sweat our ass off outside watching fall camp. What a blessing. Pressure is privilege.
It's a privilege to be this busy. Let's get to premium message board questions. All right. Oh, dear God. And, dude, the first name.
What's the first name, brother? Hit me.
First question from Nick Rinaldi's Nuts. All right. From Nick,
I'm gonna get a custom jersey that says Rinaldi's Nuts on the back. So timestamp this.
From Nick Rinaldi's Nuts. Hey, boys. I've been listening to the pod.
Nick Rinaldi's Nuts.
Nick Rinaldi's Nuts. I've been listening to the pod for about 18 months and following you guys on Twitter for about 4 years now, but just became a member. 75% was just too enticing.
Thank you, Nick Rinaldi's nuts.
I am a high school senior who has been a Vandy fan my whole life.
It's a minor. It's a child.
And I am currently lighting Clark Lee candles and praying nightly that I get accepted into Vanderbilt for next fall school year. When can I expect to apply for the TDR scholarship? What is the requirement? Is a particular glizzy eating max at play? Because I know I could demolish Hack, who I refuse to forget back down from his 10-win promise last year. And I
didn't back down.
And I haven't forgotten you either, Will. Or is a lot too duty possible required? And let me know ASAP. Our early decision is November 1st. First off, you are officially on the record not fully allowed at Lot 2. You need parental guidance at Lot 2.
We need a permission slip signed by your mom and dad, brother.
TDR scholarship. We need a few more sponsors on board. So reach out to doreport@gmail.com.
Yeah, dude, just shoot Joe Bolivis an email, man. I'm sure he's got you covered. But no, in all seriousness,
thank you for joining.
Thank you for joining. And elite name. Best of luck to getting into Vanderbilt. I couldn't get into Vanderbilt for undergrad.
You did get in.
I got it for my master's, so a little humble flex. Best of luck.
Electric first.
We need more Vandy students like yourself.
Next up from Toto 0260 or Todd Do 0260. I think another first time poster. Awesome to see all the first time posters.
Yes.
We're going to get through as many of these as we can. The coaching staff has done a good job at least making it appear like we have a QB competition on our hands. So much so that there are entire discussions debating the merits of starting Curtis versus Blaze. What many, including myself, believe is you start Curtis even if Blaze is 10% better right now. With that in mind, would y'all rather see Curtis but have a 5-win season, first 3 games, Kentucky and Arkansas, or start Blaze and get 7 wins, add on Auburn and Mississippi State? If I have to choose between those two, in all honesty, if that is the guaranteed result, I'm choosing Blaze. If it's guaranteed a 7 versus a 5 win, if you would have said it's 7 versus 6, I'm actually taking Curtis. But a winning season, let's not discount that we were having debates whether Vanderbilt could reach a bowl game like before 2024. So like ever again.
Yeah.
So, but the difference is that's not the question we're debating.
Yeah. In this hypothetical, though, I agree with you. If Blaze, if a Magic Genie came in here and said this is going to happen, Blaze 7-5 or Curtis 5-7, I'm going with Blaze.
It kind of gets to the core. If I thought that based on the evaluation that I've seen based on spring and fall camp, if I thought Blaze Berlowitz was the difference in this team winning 2 games, I would be saying Blaze Berlowitz should be the starter.
Agree.
So that's a hypothetical that's interesting, but if I thought that was what was going to happen, I would be saying Blaze Berlowitz has to start.
Yeah.
I don't care if you've invested $2 million in this.
Nobody's bigger than the program.
I went into fall thinking Curtis would be the guy, without a doubt, based on what I'd seen in the spring. But if Blaze had come out and looked and expanded the gap from what I had seen in the spring,
dude, we'd be on here being like it's Blaze.
Yeah, but there was a possibility that could happen. And it hasn't. Yeah. So yeah, in that scenario, I'm taking Blaze, but that's not the scenario we've seen. But a great question.
Yeah, really good question.
Next up from Vandy Lance 25. Do you guys think Caden Daniels can step up and make the cornerback room a much improved unit from last year? Seems like his play in late spring and this fall has been impressing you guys consistently.
I will continue to sit here on this pod, on the message board, on Twitter, and be the biggest Caden Daniels truther. That he's got it. He's got it.
Yeah, we're gonna run through these quickly with answers, so don't feel offended.
Yes,
but we just want to get to everybody. Yes. Caden Daniels, do I think they can be improved? Like I've said, yes. And I think Caden Daniels can be a big part of that. Can they be a good secondary? Whole different question.
Yeah.
Next up, Frida's boss is not happy. As usual. Frida's boss, Hall of Famer. We love
Frida's.
Through the thick and thin, dog. Next up, he goes, Frida's boss, my question, which will ruin TDR faster? First, all the cocksucking lawyers on here. Number 2, all the 75% off new members, or number 3, DJ, or number 3, D, all the above. The 75% off members are not going to ruin things. So in fact,
I would say that our first 2 posters, Nick Rinaldi's nuts and Toto dude, have actually already made TDR better.
And I want Frida's boss to be consoled here or not fear. The plan is, as Q&A questions get out of hand in football season, it's going to be sorted by your rank on the message board. So if you are a Hall of Fame member, like Frida's boss with an account that goes back years and years and years, your questions are getting first priority. If you're a red shirt member who just joined, we're going to get to your questions. In worst case, it's going to be responding to you directly on the message board, but you're going to get low totem priority. So that's a benefit or a reason you should not cancel an account or cancel and then sign back up next year, because whatever, you need to build up your points throughout the year so that then your questions can be top priority, because TDR is growing. And that's a great thing, but it means we're not going to be able to run through every single question every single week, which is a great thing.
My sweet Fridas, we will never forget you.
We will never, Fridas, you're always getting top priority.
Yes.
Don't you worry.
Also, I love all of our lawyers on the board.
Yes. And thank you to TDR's lawyers.
Yes.
Well. Colin, I'm not going to read some of these questions because
don't read Colin.
There's going to be the baseball questions that are going to drive me crazy. But Colin Bryant says, given the depth of the running back, tight end room, and safety room, do you think Sonny Gray can win the AL Cy Young this year? That's the last baseball question I'm reading. If there's another baseball question, I'm just not reading it. Out of respect to Colin, because I love you, Colin, even though Colin thinks I hate him. Next up from Utah, Dore lawyer. Another lawyer.
Another cocksucking lawyer.
He goes on to say, does an 8-4 record this season excite you more than 10-2 last year? I think there was a sense of urgency last year for those who followed the program closely, hoping the team would do something special. But this year, the expectations are lower, and it's all about growth and development. So should there be chaos in the streets if we win 8 games? Caveat, I'll let you answer, but I'll go quickly. No.
Okay.
If they would have gone 9-3 last year, the difference is last year you're not going to reach that level because it broke through a ceiling. Whether you want to call it a glass ceiling or a ceiling, things can be evaluated now differently. It was evaluated before. This is a really good quarterback for Vanderbilt. This is a really good team for Vanderbilt. Now you're just evaluating this is a good team. Pavia proved that there's no ceiling for Vanderbilt in like recognition of a star player at Vanderbilt. He was the biggest star of college football last year. You could say it was Mendoza, absolutely, but it was Pavia or Mendoza were the 2 biggest stars. One of them was from Vanderbilt. One of them was from Indiana. If you want to know how crazy college football has shifted, but there was a ceiling that was broken last year. So. And I will also add that next year it will be funny because I will almost be saying the opposite. We'll see how the 2023 class shakes out with the new 5-for-5 playing out. But next year could be a lot of losses, like not at the quarterback position, like the opposite of this year. You're losing just a ton, but you're bringing back the quarterback. So I would say equal excitement. I'm not going to say more because last year was truly like accomplishing something that, if you would have asked any Vanderbilt fan or anyone that followed the SEC and asked if that was even possible, they would have said no.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say surpassed, but yeah, you should be almost equally as excited. You can disagree with me, sir.
I think I'm going to disagree. I think an 8-4 season this year gets me. I'm going to be honest. I think an 8-4 season this year gets me thinking Vanderbilt can win a national title in the next 2 years.
Okay. This is where like I struggle with what I said because it could be misconstrued as to how I feel.
No, I knew what you meant, though. I knew what you meant.
So that would be the continuation of like, oh my God, that wasn't a quote unquote flash in the pan. This is like truly Vanderbilt's elevated to that level, like that Clark Lee got made fun of when he talked about
That's
it.
where my mind is.
So,
is just like, oh, fuck. Like, this is like the new reality.
That's where I could add the caveat of that. Yes. Okay. Yes.
But I understand the ethos of like what you're saying. Yes, because like we thought we would die and our bodies would decompose before we would ever see
excited more for the future.
Yeah.
Let me see how he phrased that. So should there be chaos in the streets? Yes.
Yeah.
Excited for the future? Yes. As far as leaving a season and excluding the disappointment of the college football playoff and being in the middle of that season and it truly feeling like Vanderbilt fans that have been with the program for so long, and we've talked about it a lot, but I don't think enough of like the diehards that have been there. Of last year was something like out of body, like religious almost, like undefeated at home, 7-0 at home, double-digit wins. I know they got screwed out of the college football playoff. I know Pavia was only the runner-up in the Heisman, but it was all these things that like this is stuff you used to reference from the 1950s.
Yeah,
and it was like, yeah, that was fun. You know, if Vanderbilt was a power in 1915.
Yeah, Swanee was still in the SEC.
They had a Heisman candidate in the 50s, and they had a guy and it's like, man, that's just never going to happen. And last year, like, resurrected something. 2024 resurrected a thing I've talked about many times. It was like, I just assumed I'd never be part of a field rush. That's just something I'd given up. I'd seen my buddies who are Tennessee fans and fans of, Alabama, Georgia, whoever, do field rushes. Vanderbilt's just not going to have that. It's my cross to bear. That changes. You're a part of the scene of 2024. 2025, you're a part of the college football playoff discussion. You weren't a pity discussion point.
Yeah.
You're a true discussion point of probably, in my opinion, the only 10-win SEC team that's ever going to be left out of the CFP.
Yep, just because of the logo on their helmet.
Just because of the logo on the helmet and the jersey. Well, not the jersey this year. But, yeah, so that's why I can't surpass it. It's almost the same thing we were talking about with TV shows before, is I told myself after I watched Breaking Bad for the first time, no matter what, I would never allow myself to rank a TV show above it. So I put The Sopranos as 1B below Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
But it's not because I don't think The Sopranos is better. I just can't do it because that's how I felt during this 10-2.
Very understandable, yeah.
And we're going to try to be quicker. That was my fault being long on that question. Next up from Ezra Chris Magnon, I kicked my 26-year-old girlfriend out of my Midtown apartment in the middle of the night because I had just learned that she cheated on me with multiple men. I gave her
Oh my
time.
God.
This is a crazy one. This is what you get when I don't read them beforehand.
Oh my God. Is this for real?
Is this a real story? I'm going to read through this. I'm sorry I was using a broadcast voice. I gave her time to carefully pack her things and get dressed. Then I made her leave. She took an Uber home roughly 40 minutes from my apartment to her home in the suburbs. She says it was shitty of me to kick her out in the middle of the night, that it's unsafe for a woman, that her dad was very upset at me, and her girlfriends all think I should have at least let her stay until the morning. Here's my question. Do you think that the football team this year has the institutional strength to survive a bad year? Or do you think they need an average to good year to be ready to be really good in 2027 and 2028? Okay, so let's get to the real important part of this question. So it depends on when you say, do they need a bad year? What does a bad year mean? Is it a bad year where let's say they go 4-8? Let's say Vanderbilt goes 4-8. And they beat either Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi State by a field goal. And they're very competitive in all the games except Georgia and maybe one or two others. But they're extremely competitive. Damn, they lost some really tight games. I think they can survive that. If they regress back to it, which I don't see this happening, but if they regress back to a 2023 version of Vanderbilt and they go 2-10, 3-9, and just like non-competitive in games, and whoever it is, Curtis, Berlowitz, comes out and looks incompetent, that's going to be devastating because the narrative is just going to be Vanderbilt's just right back to the cellar. I think at 5-7, even with competitive games, that's going to be the national narrative. But I think locally and internally, they will know how close they were. Similar to when I joined podcasts and got made fun of prior to the season and said this Vanderbilt team was only, they lost 4 games by a combined or by an average of 3 points per game. This is a team that was really close last year to winning 10 games, and then they ended up winning 10 games. So, yeah, that's the important part about that question.
I don't even remember the second part. All I remember is the first part, and I want to say, Ezra Chris Magnon, if that is a true story, I am so terribly sorry. And I'm sure whatever the second portion is, I agree with Will. I don't know what you ask. I just want to offer my sincerest condolences on like a serious, like heartfelt, that sucks ass.
Hey, you'll get through, brother.
Hey, dude.
TDR
is always in your
corner.
Said,
so 26-year-old girlfriend, you got to be in your 20s. You're living in a Midtown apartment, you said?
Okay, so you're doing well.
Brother, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Head down.
Hey.
I wouldn't say Broadway because I would agree, leave the Broadway girls alone. For your situation, maybe, give them some attention for a couple weeks. then I would say just head down to Midtown, Losers, wherever you need to go. John Daly's is an easy spot. Brother, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, so this is the dichotomy of TDR. I'm going to come at it from a different angle.
FDB.
I'm going to say, hey, this sucks. Feel your emotions. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad. Don't fight it. Just let it happen and know that it's a natural part of the healing process and that you will get through it. Things will suck, but they will get better.
See, that's good.
This is the dichotomy of TDR.
Now, that's Trevor's recommendation. I would say find a hyperfixation, similar to what I already see you doing. Invest all of your emotions into that. If it lets you down in any way, immediately overreact and make an absolute fool of yourself.
That's not what I would endorse. I don't think that's what our sponsors at New Leaf Counseling Center would also endorse as well.
I mean, I'm saying every bit of the frustration you're feeling from this situation. And then you can throw in your day job, just everything. Bottle it all in to Vanderbilt football.
Please do not do that.
I mean,
as somebody who has done that for years, do not do that.
All into week one. I mean, this
Chris,
situation, bottle it all into week one. And then now let's transport Ezra Chris Manoon. You've bottled all this into week one. I mean, ungodly bottled it all in. You're sitting there. You're on the edge. And they come out against Austin P week one. Let's transport back to ETSU.
Oh, God, no! Don't do it.
And let's imagine Ezra Chris Manoon that you're then walking out of now First Bank Stadium without your $60 polo that you just threw onto the field and discussed. Walking out shirtless. So that's why you should do that. But Vanderbilt's going to win, and it's going to be exultative. So bottle it all into Vanderbilt football. Don't process your emotions. Just bottle it all up, dude. And just
Ezra Chris, please don't do that.
Actually, don't do that.
Please don't do that. Yes, that was all parody.
Actually, contact a New Leaf.
Please contact a New Leaf, or you can reach out to me. I got you. I got you.
Next up from Red Dore.
That was batshit crazy.
Dude, I was watching also. I expected, plugging Star V Sundays again. Guys, you ask us this kind of stuff. Join Star V Sundays. It doesn't have to be this extreme. I want to hear Billy Derrick and Joe Bolovis' response.
I think Billy would short wire and you would see his brain implode live on YouTube.
They're getting questions like, what do you think of the defensive line depth? We're getting this, which I love. That's the TDR difference, baby. We're deep in TDR after dark. We're almost at 11 p.m. Next up from Red Door. How much is the football program aware of TDR? What percentage of the players do you think listen in or know about your opinions of them? To what extent do your thoughts / observations make it back to the coaches? Coaches, I think, are just like some obviously.
Yeah.
Listen. I think the coaches they say it, but like the college football coaches are in like a whole other universe.
I'm going to say this. I don't think Clark Lee knows we exist.
I think he knows we exist because we're in press conferences.
Yes.
I don't think he knows.
I don't think he knows what TDR is.
Yeah, like the coaches, like there is coach speak, but I think the coaches, especially the higher level coaches, it ain't coach speak for them.
Yeah.
Like they are in that bubble. Players with social media, I mean.
I can tell you a couple stories to where I've had, famously, I can say it now because we're on good terms. Nick Rinaldi, I used to shit on Nick Rinaldi all the time. And it got to the linebacker room and the staff and Nick Rinaldi, and there was a vendetta against me, understandably so. And I was called out by some players. And then I publicly apologized. I said I wasn't a ball knower because Nick Rinaldi progressed heavily. So that's just a story of, yes, the players know who we are. Our takes about them do get to them. And there have been instances where we've heard about it.
Yeah,
players.
Oh, don't worry. Like
we've heard. Oh, the parents too. We've heard about it from the parents.
Yeah, every take that we have on this podcast, I am and Trevor is specifically aware that whatever we say is going to be heard. And that doesn't filter anything, unfortunately, for myself and Trevor, but it is the truth. Like, we're aware of that.
I won't name this player, but there was one player one season that actually like confronted me face to face and was like, you keep saying this about me, that's not true. And I actually was like, I think it's true.
Yeah, I've had some interesting, I won't get into some of the interactions I've had because I can't, but yeah, interesting stuff. The football program is fantastic. Like to TDR,
Sensational. Yeah, they're
all the
so good
Vanderbilt
to us.
College people are just fantastic. I will say, not specifically of TDR, they are aware of what is going on across Vanderbilt at a level.
They're plugged. They
are
are
plugged in.
the fuck in.
Yeah, so they are absolutely plugged in. They're aware of everyone. Like a
rando Twitter account.
Twitter account. If you're consistently interacting with Vanderbilt, they're aware of you.
Yes.
Like, so yes, they are very aware of TDR.
Yes.
Sylvan Park, Dore, other than the Lot 2 tailgate and raising hell in Section F, do you guys have any specific game day rituals or routines? Trevor, you do.
Yes, I do. So after we're done setting up for every tailgate, I go on a walk around Vandyville and around the football stadium. And so as soon as we're done setting up, I'll grab a beer out the cooler and I'll say, hey guys, I'll see you in 30 minutes. And I'll take a walk by myself around Vanderbilt.
Unless specifically there is a reason. And even then, sometimes I do, just especially if Vanderbilt's on a win streak. I go to the McDonald's right down the road before setting up and get a sausage McMuffin, sometimes 2 sausage McMuffins if we're not having other breakfast to sundry items, and either an iced coffee or a Diet Coke. But if the order that I had the previous week Vanderbilt has won, that's the order.
Yeah.
So similar to my game day outfit. But yeah, that's my main tradition is I go to McDonald's breakfast. Now I know Hardee's lovers are not going to be happy about that, but worked out pretty well last season.
It did.
So maybe I should stick with it.
Undefeated at home.
Let's see what we got next. A lot of back and forth. World's strongest Vandy fan. 2 things before actual question. All right, we don't have time for that. I love you, world's strongest Vandy fan. This is no disrespect.
It really is world's strongest.
It's
It's
so
11 o'clock right now.
Actual comment, question, debate. I think people have really overthought our 2 of our wide receiver spots coming out of the spring. A lot of places were saying it would be Sherrill, Coleman, Adams, and the only spot that was up for grabs was Coleman/Thomas at the X. For some reason, a lot of places thought or think Coleman had the inside track to win that. That never made sense, to be honest. Look at their numbers. Coleman switching from tight end, 3 catches for 67 yards. Ja'Cory Thomas, 40 catches for 700 yards last season. That's not a recipe for Coleman to run away with the spot, and fall camp is seeming to prove that point. The one that really blew my mind was the assumption that Adams would start at slot and be basically unchallenged because ... Bama transfer. I guess Cole Adams' career catches 13 for 176 yards, same career games in his first 2 years, played in all 15 in 2025. Tristan Brown, 13 catches, 164 yards, played in 23 of 26 possible games since getting on campus. Small sample sizes, but they aren't dissimilar players. And again, fall camp is showing that it's closer than people thought in the spring. I'm calling my shot, starting wide receivers, Z, Sherrill, X, Thomas, slot, Tristan Brown. I don't disagree with that. I think you will see an or between Cole Adams and Tristan Brown.
I agree with that. I think you'll see an or, but I also think whenever it actually comes to putting the 11 on the field, I think Brown will be your first at the slot.
I'll be interested to see. I think both are going to be utilized in the offense. I think it's a true or that does not matter is what I've seen.
Yeah.
Which is more than I thought. And maybe I was guilty of the Bama transfer bias. Next up from yet another Dore lawyer, only soccer match I've ever seen Trev at was Saturday's Nashville SC match at Inter Miami. Probably they're rooting for the GOAT and not the local team. Does this confirm Trev is a fake soccer fan?
Not true. I've been to numerous Nashville SC games over the year. My girlfriend is a season ticket holder since their inaugural season. I go all the time with her. It's actually the first time I've seen you at a Nashville soccer game. So are you a fake football fan? Makes you wonder.
Next up from C Perk 25. If Blaze Berlowitz led Commodores played the Jared Curtis led Commodores in week 1, who wins and what is the score? Stat line for each quarterback. I would say this would be like one of those you run 100 simulations and one guy wins like 55 to 60% of the time. I'm taking Curtis about 60% of the time.
Yep.
But I think you'll also have some thrown in performances where Curtis loses the game for the team he's on. So I'm gonna say
I couldn't even begin to give you a stat line.
Yeah, the stat line I could no idea.
And that's not a cop out. I truly could not.
I think it would be a lot of runs regardless on both sides.
Yeah.
Next up from Chef Miller. Hey, fellas, long time no see. 2 questions for you.
You
Number
can just
one.
come upstairs
Yeah,
and
you can
ask
just
us
come
this
upstairs.
question.
Number one, if I wore overalls from the Georgia State game on last year, am I required to wear them every game this year? September 5th, and overalls doesn't sound fun currently with 102.
Sorry, you have to wear them.
Sorry about it. Number 2, do you think Luke Colton or not? We're not talking about golf. There will be an article up soon from Miller about golf. We just don't have time. Pessimistic Dore, but yes, get your Miller burgers in lot 2.
Yeah.
We're jacked to the tits about Miller burgers in lot 2. Ryan Gosling, the Big Short, shout out. Pessimistic Dore.
This is my quant.
Is the quarterback battle more about Blaze being who we thought he is and Jared Curtis not being able to process at this competition level, or it's that JC is everything we were hoping for and Blaze has taken a big step from last year? Basically, do you lean that the battle is close because neither QB are playing at an SEC level, or both are playing extremely well but can't separate? And don't give me somewhere in the middle BS. It is somewhere in the middle. I hate to tell you,
it's somewhere in the
middle.
gray. Yeah.
Jared Curtis is everything you could want: raw, physically, talent, arm, running. Yes, he also looks like a freshman at times. Blaze Berlowitz has stepped his game up. Does Blaze Berlowitz look like a good or elite SEC quarterback? No. Does Jared Curtis look like a good or elite SEC quarterback year one as a true freshman? No. So, yes, it's somewhere in the middle. Both of them look like serviceable quarterbacks. That's been the lack of separations. Both look serviceable.
Yeah.
So it's not in the middle BS. It's just
reality.
It's just what it is,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I wish it wasn't the case. I wish I could give like a more exciting answer.
Yeah.
Next up from AD Vaden 21, another new poster. I feel a little more encouraged by Blaze's progress this last week. How do we realistically assess his ability to threaten SEC defenses downfield? Also, do we think his thorough knowledge of the playbook equates to an ability to effectively use all what he knows to do, knows of his structure? All of what he knows of does his structural limitations limit how effectively the menu of plays can be run? Did you write this in ChatGPT? What in the? In spite of Tim Beck's schematic, skill-based on his personnel, I do believe one of the huge reasons why his offense is so effective is that there is an element of unpredictability that comes with it. In 2024, no one had seen the offense, so even with limited talent, they had the element of novelty / surprise working in their favor, and eventually, as teams got more film and studied how to contain it, the talent disparities became more pronounced, and the result of the games demonstrated that towards the back end of the season, 2025 had the explosive element and a QB who was a backfield creator / improviser who could credibly threaten defenses with the vertical game and off-script playmaking, which reintroduced the unpredictability into Beck's offense. I don't know why that was centered around Blaze. Blaze
doesn't have the deep ball or the ability to stretch the field that would threaten it. My biggest to answer this question in short, my biggest fear with Blaze is that defenses would quickly realize that he does not have the ability to stretch the field, and they would load the fuck out of the box.
No, that is the number one issue. Is all of it is teams are going to be very willing to man up or put extra guys in the box or however schematically they can. They're not going to be worried about Blaze forcing the ball downfield, and they're not going to be worried about Blaze zipping the ball into tight windows. Even more so, Pavia didn't have an elite arm, but he could fit it in to windows. Those like 20-yard corner routes, Blaze cannot throw those like in like a realistic. He's not, the difference in he can throw them. He's an accurate quarterback. Let me rephrase. The way that ball zips in down the seam and in a corner route, and however from Jared Curtis does stretch the defense vertically. Teams with Curtis, Vanderbilt's going, in my opinion, and we're going to get to this in the season preview with Blake, like Vanderbilt's going to win week 1 and week 2. Like Delaware and Austin Peay are going to present some challenges. Vanderbilt's talent level is above them. As the season progresses, what you would see with Blaze is you are going to see teams wholly stack the box and make Blaze fit the ball into tight windows, and I don't think he can. And so by the end, by game 8, game 9, teams are going to be putting 8 in the box and saying, throw it over the top. I dare you to do it. And they're not going to be able to. It's going to be a lot of a very reminiscent offensive when Mike Wright and Ken Seals are running the show, and with a better quarterback. Blaze is better than them, but in ways that teams just weren't scared of Vanderbilt throwing the football downfield. So that's the answer. If it's Blaze, yes, I'm very concerned. If it's Jared, it's going to be a concern of consistency. Yes,
It's not can he do it?
Yeah.
It's how consistent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Next up, World's Strongest Vandy fan again. How do we go from so many people going JC or bust in the spring to so many assuming Blaze is the better option because it's been even in fall camp? Feels like people just want to argue. It does feel like people are taking argumentative stances and illogical stances to be provocative and disagreeable when there's a real logical answer in front of them that might be boring. It is weird to me.
I think this is all one big psyop. That's my tinfoil hat.
Next up from Vanderbilt. Been listening to the pod for over 2 years, been a member for almost a year, but first time with a question.
Oh, thank you.
If Curtis scrapes by Austin P in Delaware, but then loses to NC State, Auburn, and Georgia, do you bring in Blaze or let it ride? Not at all saying this will happen, just thinking of all possibilities. That varies on how he performs. Are the losses on Jared Curtis? Did he look horrendous and in over his head? I think there is a possibility. That's where it's so key of Jared starting the season. There is a scenario where it doesn't destroy Jared Curtis. Is it way less than ideal and actually a bad situation? Yes. But where Jared Curtis comes out, plays the first 5 weeks, looks rough, and you can put Blaze Berlowitz in. That scenario is fine.
Yes.
And honestly, like there's a lot of leeway you would give Clark Lee and say, man, that's rough. If you start Blaze Berlowitz the first 5 weeks and that scenario plays out, my God, you can't bring Jared Curtis in.
You're setting him up for failure.
You're setting him up to destroy him as a quarterback. That's why this decision feels so obvious. So depending on how it plays out, that's a possibility. Like if he comes out and looks like a deer in the headlights, I don't think that would happen. I think Jared Curtis is a gamer. But if he came out and looked horrendous, that could happen for sure.
Absolutely.
Nothing I've seen in camp, like I'm confident that Curtis should be the starter. Nothing I've seen in camp makes me go, Jared Curtis is going to be this like superstar as a freshman. That's also not the case at all. I think he can be a superstar sophomore, junior year. Yeah. Freshman year, it's going to be some lumps.
Yeah.
Next up from Denver Dore. Who scores more points this year? Sedrick or the rocket launcher?
That's a great question. I'm going to go with the rocket launcher.
I'm going rocket launcher too. I think there will be a lot more field goals this year.
I agree. It also helps whenever you have a guy that's like almost automatic within 55 yards.
Somebody, Black Knight Dore, said the scholarship requirements for the TDR scholarship are reading the entire Roback ad from memory.
Yes.
That's getting a laugh from me right now before we move on to the next question. Vanderbilt brothers, we are inching ever closer to kickoff. Team 6 consumes my thoughts, as I'm sure the same for you. With that, let us practice a little CBT, Commodore Behavioral Therapy.
Yes.
With the following scenario and questions. It is September 5th. The day has been full of living, laughing, and loving the doors and libations in Lot 2. As dusk settles on the west end, the foghorn has sounded. The SOG is blaring dynamite. Section F is rocking. The Doors have their first tutty of the season. Who scored it?
Sedrick Alexander.
You stole my answer.
I mean, it's so obvious.
I think Vanderbilt has a drive that has a few plays to start out, and then they break a relatively long one that gets shoved out of bounds around inside the 10, and then Seddy punches it in. That's my prediction.
Okay, I like it.
I hope it's a more exciting play, but that is pretty exciting.
That is exciting.
Dude, that just got me in the mode. I'm ready to be in Lot 2.
Dude.
VSFS 2017. Could you give us a better/worse ranking of the position groups compared to last year's team? Let's run through that really quick. Just better or worse? One word answers. Quarterback.
Worse.
Running back.
Better.
Offensive line.
Better.
Tight end.
Push.
Worse.
Okay.
Wide receivers.
Worse.
Defensive line.
Better.
Linebackers.
Better.
Cornerbacks.
Better.
Safeties.
Better.
Kicker.
Push.
Punter.
Worse/push.
Okay. Return game.
Worse.
Better.
Okay.
I know they lose Trey Richardson, but I'm expecting Martell Hyde to have a couple punt returns.
That
for
was
touchdowns.
hard to do, just
Yeah.
like blitz. Yeah.
Because there's nuance to those, but we got
And I
to
wanted-
push
I'm a-
through,
we're
dude.
new-
We're
nuance
only
pod.
on question 26.
Oh, damn. Oh, Jesus.
Okay. Yeah, we got a lot more to go. So we got to go. We're going to go rapid fire. From Savage Cornelius, few questions. My wife and I are having our first kid at the end of the year.
Congrats on the sex.
If she lets me frame one iconic moment in Vanderbilt history in a sport for the nursery, what should it be? I'm thinking the aerial image of the convoy of students and fans carrying the goalpost down Broadway.
That is the correct answer.
That is the correct answer. Or the touchdown catch of Junior Sherrill. This is a beautiful photo I saw on Twitter I had never seen before.
Yeah.
Check out that one.
Shout out to the homie Mike.
Second, from what y'all have seen at camp, how does Curtis's scramble ability compare to Pavia's?
Does not scramble as much as Pavia, but has mobility similar to Pavia.
Faster, bigger, stronger, more powerful runner. Not
Yes.
the grit running and an innate ability to just find the seam and get to the line to gain.
Yes.
So all of the better natural ability, but dude, you can't compare that to Pavia's ability.
Yeah.
It's different.
It's yeah.
Third, over under Jared Curtis, more rush yards than MK Young this season.
Under.
Next up, Kempin ain't easy one.
Shout
Hey
out to the homie.
guys, first time, long time. You know me.
Oh, we do.
I had been on Rivals before, way back in the day, but didn't engage much because, let's face it, we weren't in the running for many big-time recruits. Now all that has changed. Jump back on here to stay up to date and to engage. So my question is, maybe name 2 or 3 things that always have engagement on here that are not on Twitter. See y'all boys soon.
Obviously recruiting scoops. Fall camp stuff.
I would say
and
like actual deep takes.
Yeah.
From like me and Trevor, like Twitter.
nuanced takes.
Yeah, we all know the world that is social media now. You can't have real nuanced discussion
Mhm.
anymore, unfortunately. So that's what the message board is for.
Yes.
Is real nuanced discussion between Vanderbilt fans. Next up, Logan D. Shaw.
The homie again.
Is it a written rule or an unwritten rule that you can't or shouldn't wear Vandy gear to practice when covering the doors? It is a written rule. Does this also apply to former athletes on the sideline on game day? I feel like the latter is more of a personal choice.
No, former athletes can wear whatever the hell they
Yeah.
want.
Next up, Gil Parrish 1. What's up, fellas? Long-time listener, first-time poster who jumped on the 75% off deal like many others have.
Welcome aboard.
I wanted to get your thoughts on an interesting situation that has developed over the past year. My best friend has been a lifelong Vol fan, no questions asked. That was until last season when I convinced him to come to a couple games and tailgates with me. He would show up wearing my Vandy gear and basically LARP as a Vanderbilt fan. But as the season went on and he saw the success we were having, his fandom began to change and he grew fonder of the Dores and started questioning his allegiance to the Vols. Now this season, he claims he's all Commodores. He's bought his own Vandy gear and even got season tickets with me. So I wanted to ask you guys, should we trust him? Or should we make him earn his way after spending his entire life cheering for Tennessee and conveniently showing up once the fruits of our labor started appearing? If we cut him open, does black and gold truly ooze out? Or are we going to find that ugly Tennessee orange underneath? Thanks, boys. 18 days until kickoff. The bandwagon's open.
Yes, the bandwagon is open. We welcome him with open arms, but our eyes are peeled on him.
But you cannot be splitting time.
No, yes, no splitting time.
But
unacceptable.
if you're all in on the Doors, the bandwagon is open.
Yep, come on in, brother.
And in fact, we believe in conversion therapy.
Yes.
On the Dore report. We believe in conversion therapy. I wanted to see what you'd say to that. You can convert.
You can convert Vols to Doors. That is okay. That is okay and allowed and actually promoted. That type of conversion, awesome.
I'm not kidding no more. I like women. Women. But yeah, hey, black and gold, baby. Put on the right colors.
Maybe we should cut him open at the tailgate and really
Let's
see
see.
what bleeds out of him.
Next up. Oh my God. GLH4VU, give me your stat leaders with rough predictions for each of the following rushing yards.
Sedrick 1100.
Sedrick 900. Rushing touchdowns.
Sedrick 13.
Sedrick 11. Receiving yards.
Junior Sherrill 942.
Junior Sherrill 798. A disappointing year that should have been better. Not because of his fault. Touchdown receptions.
Cole Spence 12.
Junior Sherrill 10. That's my big prediction. The yardage will be disappointing for Junior, but he will have more touchdowns than last year. I could be totally wrong on this. This is just, thought about it and tried to have some hot takes. Sacks.
Miles Capers 6.5.
Miles Capers 7.5.
Ooh, I like it.
Interceptions.
Jordan Matthews 2.
Ricardo Jones 4.
Okay.
Martell Height tied with 4.
Okay.
And Brock Taylor's longest field goal made this year.
59 yards.
I'm going to go 56.
Okay.
I want it to be longer.
Pause.
Next up, Zach Attack
Don't we all?
0055. Don't we all? Say I guaranteed that Vanderbilt again went exactly 10-2 this year. Life on the line. Do you believe Vanderbilt, parentheses, unspecified where the 2 losses came from, went on to make or miss the CFP? They would make it this year.
They would make it with a 9-game SEC
well, they
schedule.
would already make it because they're in the minds of the voters early. Like, I'm telling you that last year's success would have an impact. Like, nobody wants to talk about it that way, but that is they're starting higher in all of those rankings and metrics this year. They're starting higher, so they will finish higher. Yes, 100%. It doesn't matter who they lose to. That's where the stuff is flawed.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I ranted about so many times last year. Next up from we're getting close. We're getting close. Next up from JFR. Jesus Christ. Keep 2, cut 2 from the football roster. Ja'Cory Thomas, MK Young, Javante Connor, Micah DeBose.
I will not partake in this game.
This is a brutal one. This is not ranking where I think they can be, but out of necessity for some of these positions. I'm keeping MK Young and Ja'Cory Thomas, and I'm cutting Javante Connor and Micah DeBose, even though Javante Connor is my star transfer breakout this year. I think the tight end room could survive. I don't think the running back room would be in a rough spot without MK Young, and the wide receiver room would be in a rough spot without Ja'Cory Thomas. I think the tight end room could survive, and I think the offensive line can survive.
I'm not partaking.
He's not partaking.
I refuse to cut any doors.
Fatty Daddy for Trevor. As a fellow Austin P alumnus, 2015 to 2020, do we kind of want to see the Govs compete in the first half? If they're keeping it close later in the game, I'll begin getting less excited for APSU and more concerned for the Dores, obviously. But I'd be a bit bummed if it's just mangling for 4 quarters. After all, we both know FCS football is just better when the Govs are good.
Well, Thaddeus,
Your thoughts?
69-69. I did not know that we both went to Austin P for undergrad at the same time. So we are both Govs at the same time. No, I want Vanderbilt to beat the shit out of the Govs from the start, from the first whistle to the end of the whistle. Every other game, I hope Austin P wins. And I'll be cheering for Chris Parsons and I'll be cheering for the Govs every game. But September 5th, start to finish, dominate.
We only have a few questions left. 3 questions left. We've almost made it, brother. It's a beef.
Is it going to be our longest episode ever?
It's probably going to. Well, we talked a lot beforehand, but it's going to be over 2 hours. Next up from 615 Dore, you both mentioned before fall camp that you were 75% sure Curtis starts the opener. Where do both of you stand now, 2 weeks into camp? I know my answer.
I'm going to go 100.
90.
Okay.
90 to 95.
Okay, so we'll cut in the middle and say this podcast is about 95% positive.
Yep. In car 24, Hardy's is listening. And
What was the final part?
The in car 24.
Oh, that's the name.
In car.
Okay.
CARR.
Okay.
24.
Okay.
Had to repeat that and clarify. Next up, Red Door. Breaking news question. Vandy just brought in Khalil Poteet as a transfer defensive end. This surprised me a bit, as I thought our defensive line was relatively strong compared to other areas. If y'all had been able to bring in another player, is this the position you would have targeted? Do you think this is a reaction to the offensive line dominating the scrimmage, or has this been building for a while?
I think that I don't think this is a reaction to the scrimmage. In fact, I'll give you a little inside baseball. This was in the works well before the scrimmage. Defensive line is one of those position groups to where you truly cannot have enough depth.
I think
it's
this
impossible.
It's just a depth play. I wouldn't read too much into it. It can't hurt. it's only upside.
Yeah.
Like it's only
Like I'll
having
tell
another-
you for a fact, this was in the works well before the scrimmage. This is not a reaction to the scrimmage.
All right, that was the last premium message board question, Trevor.
Woo!
We have made it, brother. Anything you want to add before we close it out here?
We are at 11:07 p.m.
My goodness gracious.
We started at 8 o'clock.
All right. That is it for episode 380. For myself, Will Byram, my co-host, Trevor Hewlin, this has been episode 380 of the Dore Report, powered by Donnelly Timmons and Associates.